Hey guys, welcome into the show. Vic Faust, Cancel This, Tabitha Hassel, Scotty Gherkin, Lizzie Sparks on the boards today. Eric Johnson will be joining us. With that being said, we say good morning, happy Thursday. April 5th is our day. We've got it all ready to go. Lots of guests, lots of topics, as we always talk about. Okay, coming up in about, 10 minutes or so, Tabitha has a guest. His name is Attorney Daniel Bibb. Daniel was an assistant prosecuting attorney in New York for some time.
And now he's a defense attorney in New York City.
Oh, he wanted to make some money.
He's a Scott Rosenblum of New York City.
Oh, he's a criminal defense attorney?
Yes.
All right. You say he's not a big Trump fan, but he'll weigh in on the whole Trump situation.
I can't wait to hear what he has to say.
All right. With that being said, we'll jump into that. Coming up at the 9 o'clock hour, you won't want to miss a college student getting ready to graduate. Her name's Leah Almstedt, Lindenwood University in the St. Louis area. Her story went viral this week. Daily Wire, I think it was the Daily Wire, did a story on her. She actually had a professor say that she should be killed and then joked about it in class and said, well, nobody likes you because you're conservative. Okay. Could you imagine if the shoe was on the other foot? Anyway, we'll get into that story. Hillary Clinton's still out spreading, isn't this interesting, disinformation. And you'll also hear there is a well-known D-trans, somebody who is trying to warn others of the possibilities of being very, very, very depressed if you go through a transgender surgery. Yeah, that's right. You get all sides of the story. Just mainstream media won't tell you or won't give you all the stories so you can make up your own mind. He's speaking out today, and he says that TikTok was the reason he started to say, yeah, I need to go through transgender surgery because of other messages that get pushed
not the real
your life.
messages.
Yep. Those are some of the things we're getting into today. There's more, too. It's a Thursday. We're ready to get things going. Happy Thursday, April 5th, 8:02 is the time. Of course, this is cancelthisshow.com. Like, subscribe, share everything that you possibly can. And please, if you can donate, please help us out. And if you know of any advertisers or an advertiser for yourself, or if you own a business, jump in with us. Check out our partners. Back with Cancel This right after this 2-minute break.
And now it's here, the unveiling of the latest Carroll House lifestyle collections. I'm Brooke with my sister Amy, inviting you to see 3 football fields of the latest styles.
Our new lifestyle collections are premium quality furniture made exclusively for us and available only at Carroll House.
The attention to detail is unmatched, and so is the value, nearly half the price of a typical gallery store.
Plus, get free financing, delivery, and in-home design. Carroll House, because you like nice things.
Kathy O. Big Strick, owner of Experience Real Estate Partners with eXp, has been one of St. Louis, Missouri's highest selling groups for 26 years running. In that time, Kathy and her team have successfully assisted an incredible 4,000 families. So if you're thinking about buying, building, or selling, be sure to put Kathy's group and their experience to work for you, and you can expect to be moved. Just give her a call at 314-276-SOLD. That's 314-276-7653, or find her online at experience-re.com. Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, if you don't know, is a family-owned business that has been around since 1994, serving some of the best chicken wings in town, no joke. Also known for their fresh burgers, pizza, and incredible smoked meat. Top-notch happy hour specials are included, plus live music every Friday and Saturday. Oh yeah, you can also enjoy their spacious heated covered patio. It's Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road.
As all of you may know, the home of the Cancel This studio is located at the all-inclusive private jet hangar, Strategic Air Services. Founded in Chesterfield, Missouri, they take pride in offering a meticulous approach to private aviation through services that fully manage your trip from takeoff to landing. Strategic Air Services is more than just storage for your aircraft. They offer state-of-the-art amenities to its members and guests. When you are not traveling, you have the luxury of enjoying their world-class gym, conference rooms, lounges, and so much more. Strategic Air Services offers an unparalleled luxury experience for all things private aviation. If you're looking for a new place to call home for your aircraft, give them a call today at 636-400-7601. Again, that's 636-400-7601, or visit their website at strategicairservices.net.
Hey guys, welcome back into cancelthisshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Tabitha Hassel, Scotty Gherkin. Also alongside today, Eric Johnson will be in, and always Lizzie Sparks running our chat line from all the platforms that you can jump into. That's right, cancelthisshow.com. I know we're about 4 months into this. I still get asked, how do I watch you guys? How do I listen? What is this? Yeah.
And it's so easy.
Easy. Cancelthisshow.com.
Come on, people.
Cancelthisshow.com. Cancelthisshow.com. We're based out of the St. Louis, Missouri area, but we're a national headline show. We will cover St. Louis as well. And it just seems like St. Louis local news is national news when it does come out. So we'll get into all that too. But you can go to cancelthisshow.com, check out all the viewing platforms to join us live. And we love it when we have live listeners. That's why we're here. Most of the views and listens come after the show's over, believe it or not. Not only throughout the St. Louis area, but all across the country. We do appreciate your participation. It makes it fun, and it keeps us going. And we do try to pay attention. That's why Lizzie does such a great job with that. All right, here we go. The whole Trump stuff has started to die down, right? It started to die down, didn't it? Start to die down?
That was quick, wasn't it?
Start, hopefully, yeah, after all of it.
Yeah, the slope didn't last long.
But I do see people trying to take advantage of it. Like Hillary Clinton. We're going to talk with attorney Daniel Bibb coming up in, I don't know, about 8-9 minutes or so. But if there's one person that just please zip it, lock it, put it in your pocket. Scotty, I sent you that video with Hillary from.
You want to play that now?
Oh, please. Okay. Columbia University. Why Hillary Clinton is still allowed to go to, I already know. Never mind. I did see a stat yesterday. Anybody have any idea what the Republican to Democrat ratio is of college professors on your average? There is a stat. I saw it yesterday.
Oh my, I can only imagine.
What, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1?
I would say 9-1.
5-1. You'd say as high as 9-1?
Maybe, yeah.
Try 12-1.
I was close.
Freaky day, 12-1, Democrat to Republican. So you already know what's happening on these college campuses. Well, Columbia University hosted Hillary Clinton. Hey, whatever. But Hillary wasn't there talking about being a first lady. She wasn't talking about her role in the Obama administration. She can't get off Donald Trump. He lives rent-free in that woman's brain. Here she is talking about how Donald screwed up and cheated his way to the presidency.
A guy who had been one of the main, I guess he was one of the main people running memes against me in 2016. But he went from that to running a very deliberate effort to mislead people about where and how to vote. Yeah. So it went from speech to action meant to subvert the election because thousands of people who they targeted through their algorithms. Oh, I can text my vote for Hillary Clinton. Yeah. Thousands texted their vote.
Okay.
A guy who had been one of the main. Just got done
talking about Donald Trump, and then she moved on to Mackey. Do you guys? This guy got convicted for memes. Did you see that story, Tabitha?
I did.
I think I'm trying to remember his name. Was it Daniel Mackey?
Coming from the woman who stole private land in the United States, sold uranium to Russia, literally our uranium to other countries so that they could make nuclear weapons. I mean, I don't really care what Hillary Clinton has to say.
Well, but here's the thing.
She's treasonous.
The problem is that Douglas Mackey is his name, also known as Ricky Vaughn. He was convicted by a federal jury in Brooklyn, of course, liberal New York, with the charge of conspiracy against rights stemming from his scheme, allegedly to deprive individuals of their constitutional right to vote. It is interesting when you see these things happen. He was on trial for a charge of allegedly conspiring against people's right to vote with memes. Are you kidding me?
I remember seeing that a few days ago. I mean, that's
Are you kidding me?
insane.
Yeah, it came out last week. He was found guilty last week. He's going to be sentenced on August 16th of 2023.
Who would think that you could
He faces a maximum of 10
sentenced
years
over that?
for memes.
It's ridiculous.
For memes.
I belong in a lifetime sentence, I guess.
You can't make this stuff up, but it was interesting. I saw that come out yesterday in regards to the whole situation regarding Donald Trump, and she never misses a chance to talk about Donald Trump. And of course, then you have this Mackey guy. Anyway, Hillary will be Hillary, and it ought to be interesting too, because Hillary and Bill, and then you have the Bidens, Comey, Representative Comey from Kentucky, who is in charge of the investigative committee right now, the subcommittee on the Bidens. And he says that they've laundered money. And he said yesterday that he got calls from prosecutors in Tennessee and Kentucky going, okay, can we now file cases and go after the Bidens? He says what has happened has put a dangerous precedent out there against Trump, of course, because anybody with half a brain knows that what's going on in the Donald Trump case is, quote, all trumped up, no pun intended, has nothing to do with any legality that's true legal law. When you talk to most attorneys, Democrats, Republicans, they all say it. The only people who say there's something serious here are those with an agenda and an axe to grind. Well, here we go. Comey says, be careful what you wish for. He says that we're past the point of no return because of what liberal Democrats, prosecuting attorneys in New York have done with Bragg. Now, prosecuting attorneys across the country are going, okay, we're going to set cases and go after the Bidens. And
it will get nowhere and nothing will ever happen because we've already tried.
But not really. And this whole thing with Trump's not going to get anywhere either, Tabitha. We have to be fair.
It's not. I mean, I don't think that it will.
I don't
Scott Rosenblum and we'll see what Dan Bibb says, coming up. But
I think we already know this. And I mean,
nothing's ever going to happen to the Bidens. Nothing ever has happened or will happen to the Clintons. I mean, certain people in this country can do anything they want. It's great wishful thinking. Oh, things will change, but you think about this. Donald Trump was president for 4 years. And nothing ever happened to the Clintons.
Well, that's because he was busy turning the country around, Tabitha.
Nothing ever happened.
He was busy making America great again.
Because it's just not that easy to go after these people.
Tabitha, the climate has changed.
It will not change. We're not.
And here's why I know it's changed.
We're not up here. We're still. We might be the majority.
Not with me.
But we're still down here.
For the first time, I saw things change with Comer's subcommittee with the Twitter drop. Tabitha, things have changed.
And then
they're not changed at the level you want or I want or listeners and viewers
want. It's not changed enough.
But Tabitha, you have to start. No, but listen, you have to start somewhere. That Biden, I'm telling you, that Biden thing is not going to be swept under the rug.
We will agree to disagree. I don't see it ever happening. Here's why things have
changed. Never in a million years would I think that you would see a shaman, a January 6er, get released from prison early because video was actually shown where it showed that the lies of Nancy Pelosi and Schumer and the rest of the Democratic Party were uncovered.
He shouldn't have been in prison to begin with.
It doesn't matter. We know, but
that goes to show right there. He shouldn't have been in prison.
He should, but
to
guess
begin
what?
with, without his rights, without due process.
You're right. But let me finish this. But for the first time, you even admitted on the show one day, I am shocked that this video is out there. And I think you said you were surprised.
Well, I'd already seen those videos. I was shocked that other people hadn't.
No, that's not the point. The point is the fact that you actually had Republicans uncovering information, showing it, and being able to change a wrong to a right to get the shaman out of prison.
And then Tucker stopped talking about it.
So, but guess what? It started. So then you have a subcommittee now releasing information about the Bidens, and that's not stopping. It's going on. We haven't gotten this information, Tab.
I hope and pray you are right, but I have to disagree.
It's not a matter of me, right? I'm saying what's fact. I hope and pray you're right.
We're lucky these days if we can win a school board election.
No,
they've
true.
got their
but
big thumb on top of us and have us blocked at every possible opportunity.
School board elections aren't. That's up to the people and the voters.
Well, exactly. But you know what?
Because now you're talking about local school
because
elections.
they cheat. We're very lucky to win school board elections. I mean, that's our wins for the day. We're never going to be able to prosecute the Bidens, the Clintons, or anyone else unless we have a civil war I don't see it ever happening. We will never have the upper hand until we stand up and fight for that upper hand. And we haven't done that yet.
But that's such an open, wide, blanket statement, Tabitha.
It is.
What I'm talking about are specific wins, things that are happening now that we haven't seen happen in the past 10 years. I've never seen, ever in our lives, did we see video dumps of things that were put behind. I'm telling you, it doesn't mean it's where we want it to be, Tabitha, and it's not my opinion. This is fact. I only speak in fact when I say it's a fact. It's a fact. For the first time ever, we're getting information, and some things have changed, and it's like, uh-oh. Just because national media doesn't cover it, at least you have Fox, OAN, and Newsmax covering it, dude.
Until they get deplatformed.
If you would have said, if you're just all negative mean today.
I'm not negative mean. I just
Scotty,
know.
you know what time it is.
I went through all that time thinking Hillary Clinton would be prosecuted.
Scotty, give it to her again.
Never happens.
So anyway, at some point in time, we'll see if anything else happens. I do think it will be. Coming up, we're going to be talking with New York criminal defense attorney. Tabitha's just mean and nasty.
Nick and I are going to arm wrestle during the break.
She doesn't want to acknowledge the good. Eric Johnson walks in studio. Scotty Yerkin on the boards. Tabitha Hassel here. I'm Vic Faust. By the way, we're getting ready to talk with New York criminal defense attorney Daniel Bibb. He's a former prosecuting attorney or assistant prosecuting attorney in New York, about the fallout and everything that's happened.
He's a former assistant DA. That's correct.
So I actually have him backstage, but I'm not seeing any video from him. So if I could contact him some way and figure
okay.
out.
That would be Tabitha.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with that. Eric, I'm glad you showed up when you did, because when Tabitha gets set on something, even if something positive has happened.
Oh, Eric, come on now. Eric's answer is, let's get our U-Haul and leave. And
no, it's a dig.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're attacking Eric.
Hey, as long as we're going to the beach, I'm loading up with him.
Yeah, what's
I'm
the problem?
teasing Eric, not attacking
To this day, I don't even know what the problem is. It's literally, I don't understand. If you're going
Eric, it's everything.
I guess.
Listen, I know all that stuff is out there. It's bad. It's mean.
Stop
we know
being
what the
so
Democratic Party
optimistic.
has done.
Wait a minute. Stop being so pessimistic.
Stop being so optimistic.
It's not.
I cannot
Wipe
believe
that
she just,
smile off your face.
I can't believe she just said that. It is your job in life.
Do you think the Bidens are ever going to be prosecuted for anything?
That wasn't my point.
Ever.
What I'm saying is, for the first time ever,
happen.
We're having information that we thought was true being proven to be true.
That's been happening every time. Every conspiracy theory pretty much has proven to be true.
But soon.
Not to Eric.
It's happening soon.
But the rest of us.
But the door is open now since they pulled this crap with Trump.
It is, which takes us back to that.
That's the point. Isn't that the point?
Yes, that's the point.
It's this thing in the law that you have to understand. There's a word called precedence. And that whenever you hear the word nouveau, it means a nouveau case is a new case. It's a new precedence that has just been opened up. If a judge sees something like this, they're able to go, well, this isn't new. Okay, yeah, let's see what the Bidens have on them. So they just opened a Pandora's box, which they're not going to like, because there's so many people in that stable over there that are just going to get creamed.
The rules have changed, Tabitha. Even the slow to act Republicans who you hate for not going and fighting.
And they might not.
You know
starting
what?
to learn.
It's not Republicans.
What are you supposed to do when Mitch McConnell's your leader and you can't get him out?
Well, we can't get him out because he keeps funding people's campaigns and then they keep getting elected. That's why we can't get him out.
No.
It is the pay for play, just like it's always been
then
for the GOP and the DNC.
Then blame Kentucky.
Blame Kentucky.
Blame Kentucky.
I like Kentucky.
No, you don't, because they elected him over
I think
and
I'm going to
over
move
again.
to Kentucky.
So anyway, Eric Johnson joins us this morning. I was happy, and then Tabitha wants to make it all mean this morning.
I know, man.
You guys just have more faith in the system than I do.
No,
I don't
it's
believe
not
for
about faith. It's
1 minute anything is going to happen.
If you had a husband, you'd be like, can you get me some coffee? No, you might spill it in your lap and burn yourself.
That's why she's not married.
That's the...
Come on,
Those
man.
are all the opposites of truth.
No, I'm just playing with you. Just smile every now and then.
I know. Listen,
every
Tabitha,
now and then, just smile.
None of us like Hillary. We don't. We know she did some and has been associated with some very bad things.
Yes.
I showed Hillary Clinton blaming Trump and blaming this Mackey guy, and that's why she lost the election. And
she, if anyone deserves to be in prison,
it set Tabitha off. And I think you have.
Yeah.
Just
it's frustrating.
At
Trust
her,
me. Hey,
just looking at her,
Tabitha,
my whole day is ruined.
Tabitha, let me tell you, 24 months ago when we started this little project, when we were doing the war on cupcakes, I thought for a damn second, a nanosecond, that this backlash would be overwhelming and you would see people coming out just for fun to vote for Republicans because their communities were going down the crapper. I cannot tell you how frustrated I am, how wrong I was, and how right other people were. Look at
wrong. It was just Wisconsin, the degree that you wanted.
Look at Wisconsin. The Supreme Court is now completely, what's the right word? Liberal. But
Eric, have you spent a significant amount of time in Wisconsin?
I would never do that.
That state
and I have
is
actually.
full
I have.
of liberals.
Actually, I have.
And if you want to live in la liberal land, that's great. Go to Wisconsin.
But you don't. But that's my point.
It's a beautiful state.
That's my point, is that why would anybody want to live in la liberal land when it is destroying communities? Look at the Cash App. The founder of Cash App last night was killed.
Well, it was,
and he was in one of the best cities on the planet.
Well, it was 2 days ago. He was stabbed.
I cannot tell you how awesome San Francisco used to be. If you've been to San Francisco, you know what I'm talking about.
But Eric, don't think
it's
that
so
was
unsafe.
just a random crime.
It was a random crime.
Eric,
It was a random crime.
Eric, that's a whole nother story.
Even if it wasn't, it should have been protected.
Why have 3 developers of crypto gone missing?
I don't know.
And then the guy with Cash App gets murdered.
Well, that's even worse.
That's a conspiracy Friday.
Okay, that's conspiracy Friday.
I'm going to tell you, there's a lot to that story that I was looking up on as well.
But
don't just think that it was some random murder.
I mean, do you hear about this stuff in Mesa, Arizona? Do you hear about this stuff in Alpharetta, Georgia? Do you hear? No. Here's the deal. Here's the deal with these cities. And guess what? St. Louis, Missouri is one of them. These are what's the word? Laboratories. Chicago is a laboratory. They are trying to see if they can get this to work. That's why Chicago is always in the news. Guess what? You want to know? You said today, St. Louis is always on national news when it never used to be. You know why? Because we're one of those weird laboratories of liberalism. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It sucks to be that.
It can be. I get it.
It's like San Francisco is the start of liberal, DAs and all that stuff. Minneapolis is one of those laboratories. So if these things succeed over the next 5 years, this will be the norm in all of the urban areas.
Well, Eric, where has this sort of ideology and rethinking how we're doing things worked?
It's horrible.
It hasn't worked anyway.
But there's no backlash.
Number one,
there's no backlash.
Because when you start to take people's money away, it will be, and we're close to that. Number one, where has it worked? Nowhere. What does it mean to work? Let's start with a good, thriving economy and no crime. That hasn't worked in one liberal city. That's why all those cities that defunded police were failures. Their leaders were failures. The small percentage of people who actually went out and voted were failures. And guess what? Then you get Chicago, you get St. Louis. Ladies and gentlemen, you get Minneapolis. Ladies and gentlemen, you get Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Don't forget about what's behind door number 3. Beautiful, homeless San Francisco and LA.
I don't even know how we have a discussion anymore about St. Louis, because every time I say something like, well, it's up to the good people of St. Louis to figure it out to make it the thriving city it used to be back in the 1800s, 1900s, the early 2000s. Oh, you're destroying it. Every time I bring something like that up, you guys look at me like, you are nuts.
No.
It's not and I'm like, well, then what's the point of talking about it?
We just don't want to talk about it again.
You see what I'm saying?
Because St. Louis crime.
So how do you talk about it from this point forward?
Why do we need to talk about it?
Do you just
when
look
something comes up, you bring it up?
Chicago and St. Louis and New York and all these places. Do you just say, we hope to God that you guys fail? Is that what you say? You hope St. Louis fails, don't you? In the way that it's run right now. Just say yes.
I never hope for something to fail, but I know it's gonna. Well, here's why, Eric. It's already failed. Eric isn't. It's not a continuing battle. St. Louis failed miserably, but we're not focusing on St. Louis.
Okay.
St. Louis has failed. Chicago is failing. San Francisco failed. LA is failing. New York to some degree was failing. People leaving in droves.
Yet they still vote for these clowns. Why did they do that?
Which brings me to my next point. I was going to ask you this earlier. How many people have you seen in your lifetime that really have less pride and can actually keep an open mind where they're going to change their vote in enough numbers and go, you know what? I'm not a Republican anymore. I'm going to be a Democrat. Or you know what? Democratic policies suck. You know what? I'm going to swallow my pride.
I'll tell you why.
And I'm going to now vote Republican.
No, I'll tell
Eric,
you why.
I can count on my hand the number of people I know that have switched parties and actually said, you know what? I have told you guys all about great liberal causes like Eric's band members. Not one of them will ever change to a conservative vote because it takes a lack. You have to have an open mind. You have to get rid of your pride.
It's about switching.
So there's
teams.
the answer
It's about
to your question.
switching teams, is what it is. I always bring up a Cardinal fan would rather slice their throat than be a Cub fan. Period.
Well, hell yeah.
Or a Reds fan. Period. However, here's the deal. This lady is now not able to put an American flag on her tweet, and she's not able to put the praying hands on her tweet. She's like, I've had enough. I was a blue dog Democrat. This is a blue dog Democrat state. This is over. I'm a Republican now. And now Republicans are closer to the old Democrats than the new Democrats are.
Yeah,
and
but
that's it.
that people aren't changing their vote.
I know. That's my rhetorical question to you.
I remember when you're like, New York's going to go red. And I tried to tell you and Tabitha, I'm like,
well, it almost did with Lee Zeldin.
It's not.
Lee got damn close, didn't he?
Close, but no cigar.
Close enough.
A day late, $1 short. And talking about New York, we welcome an attorney, criminal defense attorney. We don't. I was told we had him. Sorry, Tabitha.
We did, but he's gone. Hopefully he comes back.
Okay.
We're having some issues.
We're having
We're
some
working
technical issues.
Okay.
Fun, isn't
So with that being said, once if we talk about the whole party issue, Eric, people are not changing. They
are changing. There is one person that now made.
You just said people aren't.
They
changing.
were in. Was it South Carolina? I believe it's South Carolina.
Aren't changing. They keep voting liberal despite policies not working.
In one case, there's a lot of Democrats that went Republican over the last couple of years. A lot. So it's not happening.
Democrats that went Republican. Who are they?
Yeah,
Don't say
exactly.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Don't say Tulsi Gabbard.
She's not
didn't go
I don't know any of their names. I don't know
Don't
this.
say Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi went liberal, or then she went to the middle. She is not Republican, nor will she be Republican, Eric.
Bet.
She's not Republican.
Bet.
And we'll come back to this.
You need to look at, oh my God, if you look at her, that's a whole nother topic. We're going to get to Daniel. He's here now. We were just talking about New York, and we are. Daniel, thanks for joining us this morning. Tabitha said you'd be an incredible guest for us to give us an aspect of what's happening in New York with the whole Trump situation's done. Nobody's talking about it anymore, right?
Talking about it. It still is a major subject of discussion. It's a major subject of the press. So yeah, they're definitely talking about it.
I was being sarcastic. I'm sorry, Dan, because of
I don't have my sarcasm hat on yet.
You need one, but they're not talking about Trump in the case. They're talking about Trump in the politics, because I think everybody agrees. Either we had Scott. Who did we have on it?
Well, we had a criminal defense attorney, Scott Rosenblum, on yesterday.
And basically,
he's a Democrat who said these charges are a joke.
We got a little echo in the background on Dan. Dan, if you could turn off one of those.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, and
it's basically the case is so flimsy. I guess this is the point I'm trying to make. The case is so flimsy,
and that's why we have Daniel on to talk about.
It shouldn't be brought into any courtroom. Apparently, this judge should have looked at this prosecutor like, "You're nuts. Get out of here. Case dismissed. Have a nice day."
Well,
yet he still hasn't done that. And I was just going to ask. This is politics, correct? And this is how you guys do stuff up in New York City and New York State. Is that right? Now we lost.
All right, we're done with Daniel today.
No.
Hello, Dan. Can you hear us?
I'll take the reverb. I don't care.
He can hear us. We can't hear him.
There you go. Just to flip your mic back on. It'll be fine.
Yeah, we got about. We'll try to make this happen in about 5 seconds and see what we can get done there. If it works, great. If it doesn't,
oh no, we can't hear you.
Yeah,
Dan.
we appreciate it. Let's try again later. Maybe
Dan, use that other source you were using on the side.
We are really turning into.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and Eric, just so you know, Dan, he is the former district attorney in New York City.
Damn, then I need to talk to him immediately.
Oh my God, that's.
And
that's why we had him on the show, was so we could talk.
Give me the smoke signals or the carrier pigeons.
Let me bring
something
up
like
again
that.
with Dan. The other thing about Dan is Tabitha told us. Hi, Dan. Can you hear us again? Can you talk to us?
Now I can see you, but can't hear you.
Oh,
that's all right. Who cares?
No.
It's like the old days.
No, I can hear you.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go. All right. Fantastic.
Technology.
I guess let me just circle back. Or if you can answer if you want to. But this is not the case is just, it's a flimsy case. It should have been thrown out, blah, blah, blah. It's all politics. And I was just let me get your opinion about what's going on up there, and being a front row seat to all this stuff.
Well, the discussion among realistic lawyers is that if Trump had not won 2016, this would not be happening.
No doubt.
If Trump had lost 2020 and exited stage left from the political scene, this would not be happening.
Correct.
This is a case that is type of case that is rarely brought just for the sake of bringing a case on falsifying business records. If it wasn't Donald Trump, no one would care.
Nope, you're right.
It wouldn't be happening. So if your conclusion based on that is that it's political, I agree, 100%.
So
many of the attorneys that I deal with on a daily basis, many on the left of things, agree with me.
And Dan, you're not a Trump supporter. I just want to throw that out there. You are a conservative Trump supporter.
No, I have been a Republican since Reagan. I have voted Republican since Reagan. I think I may have voted for a couple of Democrats who in my district were a little bit more reasonable than the Republicans running.
Yeah.
But I'm a Republican, but I have not been a Trump supporter. I didn't vote for him. I voted for Condoleezza Rice both times.
Yeah. So here's getting back to the politics of all of this stuff. Vic said on the show this morning, goes, look what this did. This basically just kicked the door wide open to have Republicans go after Biden now. And they have some good reason to go after maybe Biden. Have we just entered a new, have we just entered a new era of political prosecutions, in your opinion?
I think it certainly opened the door to that possibility. Whether the Bidens have committed crimes, I don't know. I'm not privy to the evidence. I'm assuming people are looking into it. But this definitely opens the door. A local prosecutor taking a hand in national elections, and don't think that this is anything but that. This is a local prosecutor taking a hand in a national election.
And Dan, you were the former assistant district attorney in New York City. Is that correct? So
in the Manhattan DA's office, in the office that Bragg now runs. I spent 24 years there.
How much has that office changed between the time you were there and what we see today?
Dramatic change. They've lost their way, to say the least.
How so? Is Bragg influenced by others, or is this just him trying to get his name out?
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is pure speculation on your part.
This is Bragg being a woke, and some say Soros-funded left-wing prosecutor. Listen, on day one of his term last year, he came out with what he called his day one memo. And it was absolutely shocking in the way he said he was going to treat crime.
Yeah.
And indeed, not just any crime, violent crime as well. It was, I can't remember how many pages long it was, but one of the policies that they had is that a knife point or a gunpoint robbery, if no one was injured, would be treated as a misdemeanor.
Wow.
So you're going from, if you don't have a criminal record, you commit a gunpoint robbery, you're facing a minimum 5, maximum 25 years.
We have seen,
there's plea bargaining involved there, so you're not necessarily facing that amount of time, but you're definitely going to state prison. Not under Alvin Bragg's day one policy.
We've seen so much video in New York City coming out of wherever, the people getting pushed in the train tracks of violent crime. It's unbelievable to me. So you being involved with Alvin, I asked a lawyer yesterday, what is the firewall for this stuff? It's like when a prosecutor gets into office, their job should be cut and dry, protect the community. There's data that shows you're either doing it or you're not. What judge out there is challenging the prosecutor and saying, what are you doing? Isn't that, what's the backstop to rogue prosecutors like this?
I haven't seen, I practice all over New Jersey and New York. So maybe 10 to 20% of my cases are in Manhattan these days. I haven't seen any judges try to act as a backstop. What I've seen, though, is policies that deal with I'll give you one instance. I had a client who got into a workplace argument and then a fight with a colleague. And what should have been a deferral of prosecution or a diversionary program turned into a huge fight where they wanted my guy to take a plea to a crime where he was defending himself. And a friend of mine in the same courtroom had a knife point robbery where the guy got a misdemeanor and time served. Now, this was a guy who had probably 50 prior arrests, all for what we refer to as aggravated shoplifting. He would shoplift, get caught, pull a knife. So they want to label my client a criminal for getting into a workplace tussle with a colleague, yet they walk a guy out the door who 6 months later, by the way, was back for the same thing.
Hey, how much time do you have with us? Daniel, we knew that your time was limited.
I've got till about my time, till about 10:30.
Oh, okay. Well,
if you can tolerate me that much.
Tabitha, well, no, I mean, we had a couple more questions. Tabitha said you had to get off here in a couple of minutes, so we were just making sure.
Well, I have to be in the city. I have to be on my way to the city at 11.
We won't keep you that long.
10:45 my time.
You know, Dan, I know that obviously our show is called Cancel This. I hear that at one time you were canceled. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Back when I was an assistant DA in Manhattan, I was assigned to reinvestigate a homicide that was committed at a nightclub called the Palladium on Thanksgiving night, 1990. And over the course of about 2 years, I traveled across the country interviewing witnesses, mostly in prisons across the country, and made pretty much determination that the two people who were tried and convicted were innocent, that they weren't just not guilty, that they would have been found not guilty, that they didn't do it, that they weren't there. One guy might have been there, but definitely wasn't involved. The other guy was probably having Thanksgiving dinner with his family, even though neither of them were choir boys, but they definitely didn't commit this homicide. I identified all four of the participants in the homicide. There were two gunmen, one whose gun misfired, one who fired the fatal shot. And I was forced into a position of appearing to defend the convictions by the DA's office, by my boss. And I intentionally lost a hearing because I wanted no part of these two guys remaining in jail for a homicide they didn't commit. Under those circumstances, and that was under Bob Morgenthau, by the way, under those circumstances, I just felt I couldn't stay anymore. I resigned and went on the side with the white hats.
Mm-hmm. I saw that you switched sides. And when I looked at the articles, it was all over New York City. It was such a big story.
It was, there were two front page articles in the New York Times about it.
That's wild. As big as it gets. Danny, that when you tell that story, it makes me think about Bragg, who you were just talking about. Do you know him personally? I know you guys didn't work together in the same office, or at least that's what
I don't know him personally. So, all I can comment about Alvin Bragg is that he was the best of the worst candidates. There was no one on the Democratic side running for DA that I would have ever voted for.
Yeah.
Alvin Bragg would have been, I'll put it to you this way, Alvin Bragg would have been tops on my list if I was going to vote for a Democrat, just because he was the best of the worst.
Yeah.
Okay. And a Republican is never going to win as DA in Manhattan, ever.
That's true.
How does this end?
Not unless an atomic bomb hits and there's only 5 Republicans left voting.
That makes me think about what Eric always said.
Yeah.
Where's the firewall?
There's this place here right by St. Louis. It's called East St. Louis, and at one time it was a beautiful, thriving city. Could have been great.
Well, in the 40s
it could have been
50s.
Yeah, the 40s and 50s.
I know it.
It got I don't know what happened to it exactly, but it got abandoned, and I'm looking at these major urban areas, and I'm wondering, is East St. Louis going to happen to St. Louis proper? Is it going to happen to New York? Are these abandoned cities? And look, there's no stores downtown. There's no commerce downtown anymore. What happens if prosecutors decide that crime is just not that important to them, and these mayors, they don't try to install any kind of economic development or whatever? What is going to happen to these urban areas, in your opinion?
Well, I'm familiar with the St. Louis area. My mother's family and my mother grew up there. So I'm very familiar with the area. As a matter of fact, I was there the day they capped the arch.
Oh, how about that?
Cool. So was my mom. My mom was there too.
So I'm familiar with the area. I'm familiar with what East St. Louis has turned into.
It could have been great, couldn't it? But they decided to politicize that area, and they went the wrong way. I mean, I'm looking at East St. Louis like, man, that's coming to St. Louis, Missouri.
Well, anecdotally, I can tell you that, I'm in the city. I'm in Manhattan at least once a week.
Right.
I had an office in Manhattan that I went to every day, but it got shut down because of COVID.
Okay.
So now my main office is in New Jersey, about 5 minutes from where I live, which is
right.
much more convenient than going into the city every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, anecdotally, I'm on the subway and see things that you just cringe at. I'm standing on the subway. I go into the city by bus, and below the Port Authority is one of the busiest subway lines, the A, C, and the E subway lines.
Right.
They go from tip of Manhattan all the way down into Rockaway in Brooklyn.
Yep.
And these subways below Port Authority are some of the busiest. And it's a big tourist area. Times Square is right there. So you've got tourists, you've got homeless people, you got homeless guys, just laying on the bench, get up, take a leak, right in front of half a dozen, mom and pop and the kids who were there for a Broadway show and a dinner. And there's a homeless guy just relieving himself and just nonchalantly just walks back on the bench and lays down.
It's unbelievable.
I can't even imagine. Now, Dan, do you know Judge Juan? Is it Merchan? Judge
Merchan.
Merchan. Is that it? Merchan?
Yes.
In this Trump.
I do know Judge Merchan. Judge Merchan is highly respected. He's well liked. He is even keel. He is about as fair a judge as you will ever get. When I found out that Trump's case was assigned to Merchan, my first thought was, even though I knew he presided over the Trump organization case, my first thought was he'd be a perfect judge to go with a bench trial. Forget about the jury trial, because you're never going to find 12 people who can judge Trump fairly, not in Manhattan.
No.
And then, of course, that night, Trump decides to go wild on him and calls him corrupt. And starts calling him names and, put an old guy, Alan Weisselberg, in jail. Well, yes, he sentenced Weisselberg to jail, but Weisselberg's attorneys, that deal was made with the DA's office. Weisselberg's attorneys agreed to that sentence. So that wasn't a sentence that Merchan just imposed, willy-nilly, because he thought that an elderly gentleman deserved to be in jail. That was what's called a negotiated plea. So, I mean, Merchan's about the fairest guy that you can get. And Donald Trump, just because he can't help himself.
Well, that's good to hear from you.
No, it is.
Really,
and that's what frustrates me about Trump when he does things like that. Because there's being in the news business for so long, regardless, you got to get the full story on everything. Mm-hmm. What I'm curious about, though, was Trump upset with this judge? Because did the judge have any say in these charges being allowed to move forward? He had nothing.
That's the DA's office. Okay. I know 2 of 3 prosecutors involved. And I'm sure because this is, a former president, that Alvin Bragg was intimately involved in deciding what was going to be charged. And what they did is they parsed out, a year's worth of filings into 34 different counts.
Yeah.
That's what they do when they just want to throw everything at a wall and see what sticks. And unfortunately, that's not what a prosecutor is supposed to be about.
Why does the judge not jump in immediately and go, stop? What are you doing? I mean, that's my biggest fear and question about all this is that there's a judge out there that's
You mean like why hasn't the judge thrown this out already?
Are you talking about the gag order or
no?
Just throwing
why
it out
isn't a judge going? Why are you putting 34 counts of this garbage in front of me? I mean, this prosecutor is trying to put a round peg through a square hole with a president of the United States, and the ramifications are insane because there are 80 million people now that just don't trust the justice system anymore. And this judge is the firewall that everybody is begging to come in and say, I see what you're doing here. It's not going to work in my court. Goodbye. Why can't that be? Am I nuts in thinking that?
A little bit.
Okay.
That's not quite how it works. The criminal justice system works. A judge in certain circumstances and certain instances can be a gatekeeper. For instance, one of the things that his lawyers will do is they will file a motion to dismiss based on, number one, the insufficiency of the evidence before the grand jury, or number two, that the integrity of the grand jury was impaired by any number of things, one of which could have been the press that was rampant around them sitting. So what the judge will do once that motion is made is he gets all of the transcripts, all of the testimony, all of the exhibits before the grand jury and makes a determination whether there's legally sufficient evidence before the grand jury. Now, in a federal system, there's nothing like that. In New Jersey, there is something like something akin to that, but not quite. A judge in New Jersey really doesn't have that kind of power.
Right.
And the judge in a federal system doesn't, the judge in New Jersey can look at the grand jury the grand jury testimony.
Yeah.
And make a determination whether there's jurisdictional issues or things like that. In the
Right.
federal system, a judge does not look at anything that goes before the grand jury. So New York is kind of unique in where I practice in federal court here and in state court in New York and New Jersey, in that a judge has that authority. And while it is exercised sparingly, because most prosecutors do it correctly, it certainly has happened that cases have been dismissed for insufficiency of evidence or the integrity of the grand jury was impaired.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's great. Talking with Daniel Bibb. He's a criminal defense attorney in New York right now, but he's given us a great perspective from the standpoint that he used to work in the same DA's office where these charges, these 34 felony charges, have come out of with the district attorney Bragg on former President Donald Trump. Is this going to go all the way through trial, in your humble opinion?
Good question.
It's a good question. His lawyers have a lot of work to do. That motion to dismiss will be based because of the change in discovery laws. Before the change in discovery laws, that motion was made by defense attorneys in the dark. In other words, you never got to look at the evidence. Now, with the change in discovery laws, the defense attorneys will be getting all of the testimony, all of the transcripts, all of the exhibits. So they will be able to make intelligent arguments. Before discovery law changed, basically you put a boilerplate motion in there, please examine the grand jury minutes to see if the evidence was sufficient, or to see if the integrity of the grand jury proceeding was prepared. Now they will have everything, and which will allow them to make very intelligent arguments about why the case should be dismissed.
Yeah, is it worth your taxpayer dollars going into this case?
No, of course not. $200 million after.
Is this case worth the taxpayers' money that they're going to be spending? No.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Stupid.
But does local media in New York talk about that?
Well, if you're talking about local media, you're talking about the New York Post.
Any of it. TV, radio.
WABC.
The Daily News to a certain degree. There are some media outlets that are questioning the intelligence of going after something like this.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, without this being Donald Trump, this never would have been brought.
That's right.
Correct.
You had an average businessman, cooking, not even cooking the books for, financial benefit, just making fugazi business entries. Nobody's going to care.
Yeah.
It's because it's Donald Trump that anyone cares.
Yeah.
That's right. That
Yeah.
200 million would have went very well towards prosecuting actual violent crime in your city.
Real crime.
Real crime.
Yeah.
Well,
Real criminals
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
who, according to Bragg, don't belong in prison, but really do. Listen, I've been a defense attorney now for 17 years. And I do my best to keep my clients out of jail. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I don't. But I'm also a realist. There are people that do belong in jail. I'll give you an instance. There was a case that was being discussed in the media of a guy who beat someone to death during a fight. I don't know the exact cause of death, but instead of this guy going to jail, they want the family of the deceased to sit down with him, do restorative justice. Now, restorative justice is nice in theory, but for a violent crime, for a homicide, I think you're nuts.
Yeah, let's sit down and talk it out, right?
Yeah, we've heard that.
Yeah,
called
let's
policing.
talk it out.
Reimagining prosecution.
It gets people.
I haven't heard restorative before.
And then you have this guy in Austin, Texas, who's given the key to the city, and he thinks that, all police and prisons should be eliminated. And he even said, to the extent that, if somebody went in and butchered my grandmother, I'd be hurt and I would feel all this human emotion. Well, gee, what would putting that guy in jail do? Well, putting that guy in jail would keep him from butchering somebody else's grandmother.
Is this the DA in Austin?
No, this is some activist. I can't remember his name, but there was an article I read in some news outlet, some media source today. No, it's actually, I'm sorry, it was in the New York Post. An article about this guy in Austin.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
I don't know if there's
what
any
is
coming
wrong with
back
the
from
world?
this. I mean, you would have to have Rudy Giuliani coming back and fixing that city at this point. There's nothing that can be done to fix New York City right now, or Austin, or St. Louis for that matter. It's almost like this is the flavor of the month. This activism is crazy.
I'm curious. Would you call New York safe or not right now, Dan? For any
I'm sorry.
Would you call New York City safe to go to right now? I mean, because you bring up dinner and Broadway, and I'm like, well, I wouldn't have any fun about going to New York.
That's a good question. Well, I'll give you another anecdote. When I closed my New York office, my wife and I drove into the city. I had boxes of files and, all the diplomas and the crap that you hang on the walls. And we're piling them into, I have a Dodge Durango, piling them into the Dodge Durango. The car's packed. And now we're driving through Times Square. 5 minutes after we drove through Times Square, there was a shooting.
Oh my gosh.
So
I don't know about it until I got home and saw it on the news. And I looked at my wife and I said, we drove through there 5 minutes before this happened.
Yeah.
And this was in, I think it was March of last year.
Yeah.
So by March of last year, people are actually coming out of their COVID cocoons and actually going around doing things. Theaters have reopened.
Yeah.
And you don't have your anti-violence task force out there any longer.
No.
He goes, no. It's crazy, and you're right. And how many liberals with all the money are going to have to leave Manhattan and New York City before they actually shift gears and try to fix things?
I don't know if there's a mayor, Eric Adams. I mean, I have my opinion of Eric Adams, but he is, he hired the first female police commissioner, who all of my friends in the police department like and respect. And, he's just signed a 7-year contract with the police department, which has given them substantial raises for the first time in a long time.
Cool.
Eric Adams is, in my opinion, can be a clown. Sometimes I think he was kind of a clown when he was in the police department, but at least he is taking some measures, trying to increase the welfare of the troops that they send out on the street every day to protect us.
Yeah.
He's giving them raises. He's trying to improve working conditions for the police department. But it's, when you have, each county borough in New York has its own district attorney and they're all elected, they all have their own policies.
Well,
so you can have one policy for one type of crime in Queens and a completely different policy for that same type of crime in Brooklyn.
Well, if you could do me a favor, just go give Eric and Adams a message from me, and just say, look, the way that we're going to fix this is a strong mayor's office working together with a super strong prosecutor's office, and these cops that take no crap and they just arrest people and they don't come out in 20 minutes after they arrest them, and follow that with some deterrence to keep these criminals off the streets. I think you could maybe fix Manhattan.
Yeah, even if Eric wanted to, you brought up the mayor's office.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm sure he's got his phone number. So, I mean, I think everything's fixable. It's just they have to have the will to do it, and that's unfortunate.
That's the problem. It's the will to do it.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
They would rather destroy the city. That's the problem.
Hey, Daniel, we're grateful. Thank you for the time and educating us on the Bragg DA's office, the Trump situation there, about it being meritless and that coming from a guy who is not a Trump fan, giving us an idea of New York. We appreciate it. If you don't mind, we'd love to get you back on. I'm glad Tabitha found you for our show today. And of course, we wish you the best there in New York, man.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Nice talking to you guys.
Nice talking to you.
All right.
Thanks, Tabitha.
Thank you, Dan. And say hi to Joe Murray for us.
I certainly will. He's one of the best.
He
Joe
sure is.
Cuomo. He's a moron. All right. That's what he used to tell us all the time. Thanks,
Joe. Joe just might have some strong opinions about Cuomo.
That's
Love
awesome. Thanks, Dan.
All right. See you, everybody.
Thank you, Dan. Have a good day.
It's good to get that perspective from New York, basically.
Yeah.
An
Once again,
insider
it's a sham.
perspective.
A sham. It's all a sham. It's all a sham. Politics, getting your face out there because we all know. I mean, the more I hear Bragg, I mean, he's not an unintelligent guy. This is done on purpose.
No question about it.
So anyway, what we're doing, we've got coming up in about, 5-10 minutes or so. We've got an interesting story. There's a young woman. She's at Lindenwood University, finishing up, getting ready to graduate. Her name is Leah Almstedt. She's going to join us live in studio. She became a viral story this week, just a few days ago, when her professor, I guess jokingly, said that they should kill her and that nobody liked her because she was conservative. This was said in class. So it's now becoming a big story. We're going to talk with her live after the break. We got a quick break. We're going to talk with Leah. She'll be in studio.
What? She's like an international celebrity now.
Yeah, to talk about this whole situation and what it's like to be a college student if you're conservative. And I brought this stat up earlier. 12-1 are the latest stats when it comes to liberal Democrat professors compared to Republican.
There's not a lot of diversity in that.
No.
I don't understand that number
Where's
one
the
bit.
DEI in that?
Where's the diversity? Tabitha.
What a great point, Eric. It is April 5th. Or excuse me, April 6th. You're listening and watching. Cancelthisshow.com. Tabitha, thanks again for Dan. He's great.
Oh, I
love him.
Love. We'll have to have him.
And we want to have Joe on. I know
And we
you
have to get
teased us
Joe.
with
How do you
We
know
have
all
to get
these?
Joe
How
Murray
do you
back
all
on.
these know these New York?
You know what? It's through my friend Karen McInerney. Karen lives in New York. She's, I believe, a paralegal there, and she has connected me to a lot of really amazing
You said that like
people.
Trump. Like you
Well, because I have a hard time, you know me with last names.
Huge.
Like McInerney,
She's
whatever that guy's name was.
She's
Haley
perfect.
McInerney.
She's perfect. I mean, perfect. So anyway, Scotty Gherkin's on the boards. Eric Johnson's here. Tabitha Hassel, I'm Vic Faust. Lizzie Sparks running the social media. We'll take a quick break with our advertisers, our partners. If you're getting any products or need any products that they sell, please check them out. Let them know you heard about them from cancelthisshow.com. Once again, cancelthisshow.com. If you can donate, you go to cancelthisshow.com, click the donate button. We appreciate your help from that standpoint as well. And when we come back, we'll talk with Leah Almstedt. You won't want to miss this story and what it's like in college campuses.
And now it's here, the unveiling of the latest Carroll House lifestyle collections. I'm Brooke with my sister Amy, inviting you to see 3 football fields of the latest styles.
Our new lifestyle collections are premium quality furniture made exclusively for us and available only at Carroll House.
The attention to detail is unmatched, and so is the value, nearly half the price of a typical gallery store.
Plus, get free financing, delivery, and in-home design. Carroll House, because you like nice things.
Kathy O. Big Strick, owner of Experience Real Estate Partners with eXp, has been one of St. Louis, Missouri's highest selling groups for 26 years running. In that time, Kathy and her team have successfully assisted an incredible 4,000 families. So if you're thinking about buying, building, or selling, be sure to put Kathy's group and their experience to work for you, and you can expect to be moved. Just give her a call at 314-276-SOLD. That's 314-276-7653, or find her online at experience-re.com. Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, if you don't know, is a family-owned business that has been around since 1994, serving some of the best chicken wings in town, no joke. Also known for their fresh burgers, pizza, and incredible smoked meat. Top-notch happy hour specials are included, plus live music every Friday and Saturday. Oh yeah, you can also enjoy their spacious heated covered patio. It's Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road.
As all of you may know, the home of the Cancel This studio is located at the all-inclusive private jet hangar, Strategic Air Services. Founded in Chesterfield, Missouri, they take pride in offering a meticulous approach to private aviation through services that fully manage your trip from takeoff to landing. Strategic Air Services is more than just storage for your aircraft. They offer state-of-the-art amenities to its members and guests. When you are not traveling, you have the luxury of enjoying their world-class gym, conference rooms, lounges, and so much more. Strategic Air Services offers an unparalleled luxury experience for all things private aviation. If you're looking for a new place to call home for your aircraft, give them a call today at 636-400-7601. Again, that's 636-400-7601, or visit their website at strategicairservices.net.
Hey guys, welcome back to cancelthisshow.com. April 6th, glad you're here.
Yeah.
Once again, go to cancelthisshow.com. Glad everybody is jumping in with us right now. Okay, still to come today, we're going to, very interesting sound. We're going to hear from I guess you called it a D-trans.
A what?
A D-trans.
What's a D-trans?
Someone that was a trans and is no longer, they have D-trans.
Oh, an untrans.
They have D-trans.
Yeah, it's like the
D-trans.
Uncola. Yeah, like 7-Up.
The Uncola.
The Uncola. Yeah.
So you'll hear from saying that TikTok was the reason.
What did I tell you? I told you that, didn't I?
Eric, you sent the story.
That's
I know.
why Eric wants to ban TikTok.
Did you forget that?
No, I didn't.
Eric
I didn't
doesn't
forget
want to
it.
ban TikTok.
I didn't. I'm the one that
Eric,
told.
that's all he talks about is banning.
I'm
No,
the
he
TikTok.
doesn't.
Have you lost your freaking
Okay,
mind?
I will say I've lost my. Eric, are you saying that we should ban TikTok?
Eric's been saying we should ban TikTok for like,
I didn't think I
3
heard him
months
say
now?
that.
Here's the deal. Here's what I think.
He doesn't care about anything but banning TikTok.
Well, I'll tell you this: society is down the tubes because of TikTok. If you want to know that, that's just the truth.
Oh yeah.
That's the
Here it
program.
comes.
That's the programming of our. Here's what I was saying. TikTok is the reason that you have these emotionals, these what used to be called emo kids. In my opinion, I'm not a psychologist. I don't know nothing, but in my opinion, I think that TikTok programmed kids to become something that maybe they weren't in the first place. And this kid who is now who you'll show later,
Yeah.
basically said, because of TikTok in 2018, I got a surgery that I now reversed. And he goes, we got to get rid of this. It is affecting our kids.
Yeah, you won't
That's what I'm
want to miss.
saying.
Yeah, and you won't want to miss that. You'll hear from him coming up. We had another massive story that came out this week. Leah Almstedt now joining us live in the studio. She is getting ready to graduate at Lindenwood University,
Yeah.
and basically,
Maybe not.
I mean, I don't even know what to make of this. Lee, if you could let everybody know what happened to you, because your story has kind of gone viral, at least in the conservative circles. It'll never get any airplay in mainstream media, local news, because it sheds light on things that kids deal with at universities. Leah, welcome into Cancel This. What happened to you? What's the story?
Yeah, so this was actually a year ago. I was in a class. I don't know if the class matters, but
It does. Let's hear what the class is.
writing for visual media.
Writing for visual, so copywriting class.
More like script writing.
Script writing. Okay. Yeah, teleprompter.
It was
stuff.
required for my major. So
Gotcha.
and just a normal day, I came into class and sat down, and I was a little bit early, like maybe 5 minutes early, and I was just sitting there playing my phone, and my teacher was over on the side talking to a couple other students, and somehow I got thrown into the conversation. He's like, well, let's say that we kill Leah and need to hide her body. And I was like, what? And I was like,
Yeah.
I looked at him. I'm like, what? How did I get into this?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'm not saying we'd kill her, but we just don't like her, because she works for a conservative radio station, which I do.
What conservative radio station?
News Talk STL.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I was like, what? And then there was just this awkward silence, like from everybody. It was just like,
even from the other
Yeah.
students.
And he was serious. He probably trying to act like he was
yeah,
joking.
of
One
course he
those.
threw out this, oh, I'm kidding.
Has he been
but
fired?
No.
Has anyone said anything? Has he been reprimanded? Do you want him to be fired?
No. I said from the beginning, I wasn't like, I knew what I was doing when I put that on social media. I knew something was going to happen. I didn't expect social media to blast him like he did.
Has he apologized?
He did.
Thank God.
He did.
No, who cares? Everybody apologizes.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody finds God in a foxhole is how they say it. When it's coming at you, you'll apologize to whatever just to make it stop. You will do that.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that his ideology was a threat. If you think about it, he used the word kill, right?
And they use that word often when it comes to us conservatives.
1 week after a mass shooting, this professor at Lindenwood College. Now, has anybody said his name yet? I've seen it in publications. Can you say his name?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
What is it?
Andrew Millins.
Andrew Millins over at Lindenwood College. Just make a phone call over there if you were thinking about sending your kid to Lindenwood College.
He needs to be fired.
Or Lindenwood University.
Lindenwood University over there in the great city of St. Charles. Just say, hey, how you doing? I'm thinking about sending my kid there. And can I just talk to this clown for a second just to make sure it's a good institution for my kid to go to? Because that's ridiculous.
Why did you ultimately go public with what happened? I mean, you didn't feel threatened, but those words, if it was on the other side, if it was a conservative teacher saying something like that to a liberal student, it would be all over mainstream media because of the liberal bias that's there.
Mm-hmm. Mostly it was just kind of, when he said it, I thought at the beginning of class, I'm like, I was trying to like replay it in my head. I'm like, I have to remember this because I'm going to post this later. And my friends on Facebook are going to get a kick out of it. Yeah. That's all I thought. And it went way more than that. People were
not in this day and era.
And and I put his name out there to somebody, not thinking twice about it. And then people started blowing up his social media,
Are they still doing
sending
that?
him death threats.
As they should.
I have no idea.
Can we look that up? Is anybody?
How long? Now, when did this happen?
Like a year ago, last week or so.
Wow. And it's just now picking up steam.
When did you publish this, or when did you put it up?
The exact same day. It was like I made the post like sitting in my car right after class.
Tabitha, and it's just now getting
crazy.
And it's just now getting headlines.
I mean, there was an article written about it last year, so I shared it again because I shared a memory on Facebook and all that, and I guess now it's circling around again. So
because
and it means more now.
Yeah,
and we're so sensitive.
It was
now.
the Daily Wire, right? Isn't that what? Because we read on the Daily Wire, and I was like, my gosh, I can't believe it's been that long. So it's not like you're out. Hey, he said this last year. You posted it when it happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, did you become friends with him, or did you become a good professor student?
Friends? He wants to murder her.
Did you become a good student faculty kind of relationship, I should say?
I don't know. He didn't talk much to me the rest of the semester. I thankfully still ended the semester with a good grade. And then the dean made him apologize to me in her office, and we kind of just shook on it and made peace. I'm not gonna be rude.
But what should the dean have done in your opinion?
A scholarship.
He should have fired him, because what about all the other conservative
Books,
students?
Whatever.
Why should they
room and
feel?
board.
Why should they feel intimidated? Why is it okay for this guy, you as a student, to say that to say no one likes you, that's wrong right there.
What a clown.
And B, to say we'll just murder you and hide your body. He should have been immediately.
It wasn't even
with all the
wasn't even-
school shootings and safety of
Yeah.
children and schools and everything. For someone to say a threat like that,
exactly
done, out.
The worst part to me wasn't even the killing thing. People all the time go, "I'm going to destroy you because you're a conservative." Ha ha. The worst part was the follow-up was like, "No, we're not going to kill you. We just don't like you." That was the part. I was like,
but he's a teacher.
How
It's
dare
not like
you say
and I
that
talking.
in front of that? You don't like me? Is that going to influence my grade of what I get? Because I'm working
That's
as
a good point.
I mean,
and said it in front of other students. That's really messed up.
And when they went around and, because, it got reported, or I guess I reported it kind of, sort of, but, people in charge went and talked to the other students that were in the class, and everybody stood up for me. So everybody had my back. They were like, yeah, that was really awkward. Like, nobody thought it was funny when he said that. Nobody
so
was laughing.
Lindenwood's right in the heart of St. Charles, Missouri. Is it a lot of liberal students over there? I mean, does it have do you feel like there's a lot of liberalism in left-leaning politics?
Maybe half and half.
Half and half.
I will say,
Which is astonishing. It is
astonishing. Yeah.
I will say though, since I'm in more of the artsy side, media, there's definitely more liberals, but
really.
And this would be different if it were a peer, if it was somebody you worked with or another student. But a student-teacher relationship is a completely different animal. And a teacher has no business talking like this to a student, talking about a student. And that's where, to me, I draw the line. Because Brenda on the comment line said, well, typically we don't talk about wanting to fire people as conservatives. And she agrees how awful this is. But when it comes to the teacher-student relationship, that he has crossed such a big
Wait a minute,
line.
Tabitha, don't you think this goes and falls into it's time to take off the gloves approach? It's the Republicans. It's like, as Republicans, we don't like to see people
the fight
fired.
fire with fire type of
Don't
thing.
you think that we're in that era? It's like, screw it. If you're going to do that to us, we're going to do it to you. Fired.
I think we need to start fighting with fire, but in this in particularly in this type of situation, because I can't imagine how that made you feel. For one,
first of all, what
to
it
hear
does
this from your teacher and to hear it in front of your peers,
it's a deterrent for not just this clown,
bingo,
but for the other clowns that want to raise up and say,
right.
I'm a liberal professor. Come against me and you got enough. So I think that...
And that's been around since I was in college a long time ago, because I'll never forget my history teacher ridiculing and going after a kid who had a GOP hat on, because those were big at the time when Rush Limbaugh had his show in the evenings.
Yep.
And he's like, if you ever wear that hat into this class again, you will suffer. Yep. Mark my words. And then some other students laughed. And he goes, mark my words. And I'm like, oh my God. And this is my first week of school at the University of Missouri. And I was like, oh, so professors are like this.
Damn. We heard about it on the news. We didn't really think about it. And you saw it face to face. And that's ugly. That's ugly.
How did you feel?
Nervous.
Well, I wasn't like scared or anything. I was just like, I guess more in shock. I was just like, did that really just happen?
Did it hurt your feelings, or were you embarrassed in front of other kids? And you're like the sweetest person.
Well,
I mean, we actually know you.
Do you make a habit of playing the victim?
No.
Exactly.
No.
That's my point. There are a lot of people in this society, in this world, who want to play victim.
Yeah.
They'll start stuff, they'll play victim, or they'll maybe not start something, but if something happens, then they play victim. And then they're going to every newspaper, every TV going, look what happened to me. This went totally under the radar till a memory popped back up from last year. And then all of a sudden people found out about it.
Yeah.
I find it very interesting because of what could have happened had it been a conservative professor at Lindenwood.
Oh gosh.
And you even say that without me asking the question.
Or if you, the student, had said something like that to him, does he not realize you're a power lifter? You could have kicked his butt.
Knocked him down. That's for sure.
So
it's a shame, because St. Charles Lindenwood is a fantastic school, fantastic facilities, and right now they're trying to grow.
Yes,
they're trying to get to that next level, and they're doing a good job of it. But they need to come out full-throated and say, we are not political left, right. We teach kids to the best of our abilities. As a matter of fact, we're going to make an example out of this guy. I think that's what needs to happen. That's my personal opinion. I'm sure he's a great teacher. Was he a good teacher?
Yeah, he was
He's
fine.
a fine teacher.
Yeah.
Teach someone how to put some
Just a
copy in the
jerk.
teleprompter. Big deal. All right. I'm sure that's pretty easy to do. So we can find someone else. But this guy needs to go, in my opinion, to show that Lindenwood College is right down the middle.
Lindenwood University.
Lindenwood University. is right down the middle. I'm old. Don't worry about me.
Leah, what do you want to do? You don't go there anymore, do you? Are you still?
She
do you
finishes
still-
in May.
So what do you want to happen?
I don't know. Since this happened a year ago, I kind of wanted him fired. I was very clear that I didn't want him, like canceled. Like this
It's not
wasn't
about being canceled. It's
it
like, go do
wasn't
this somewhere
that.
else.
Yeah.
Go to Berkeley.
I just wanted him to know, like, hey, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be repercussions.
Yeah.
And I mean, there wasn't really. And then at the end of the semester, he actually informed everybody that he had, I don't want to say been promoted, but he got a higher up job in the department. So,
and if there was a
So they
redneck,
rewarded him.
Yeah.
I guess.
But still teaching students
Mhm.
on a daily basis. Okay.
I wouldn't go kick his behind myself.
and if
Let's
there
go up
was,
there,
if
Leah.
there was
Okay.
if there was an instructor up there that had a MAGA hat on and he was chastising the same way a liberal student, I'd say exactly the same thing. Because the only way we can keep these colleges is down the straight and narrow. And that's how you teach kids, right? You don't go in there worried about if you're going to have a professor saying, I don't like you because you are a MAGA representative. Or you work on a concern, which is really ironic because you are working in the industry that you were trying to get a degree to go work in.
Correct. Which
That's
it
crazy.
should be
Like, congratulations,
a
good
bright light
job.
shined on her for the work that
It's
she was
unbelievable.
doing.
Yeah.
I'm curious. This came out this week on the Daily Wire, conservative publication. I mean, we're focusing on it. Have you been contacted by any local news or anybody else from that
Mm-mm.
standpoint?
No.
We get to know you a little bit here. I mean, I know you're not out trying to put knives in this guy, so to speak, as a pun. However,
Yeah, really.
I'm curious if it gets out there, people hear your story, they start talking to newspapers, they start talking to other platforms and other news media platforms to see if anybody would actually do a story on it.
Yeah. I mean, if it comes to that, great. They can reach out to me. I'm very accessible. But so far, nothing. I just put it out there and I, let social media do
Yeah.
its thing. If it
Okay.
And you know what?
It's for the
Sometimes
right
social
people.
media is better than having Elliot Davis do a story on it. I'm telling you right now, because those guys are crazy on Twitter. What are some of the comments that you saw? I would love to know. I'm like trying to find out where I can go read.
and then we
the
want to know
debates.
what your dad said.
Yeah, what were some of the comments?
Well,
that you
there's
saw?
comments at the bottom of the article. I don't know if you guys can share the article on here, but people can look at the comments at the bottom of the article. Nothing was directed at me like negatively. It was all at him.
Wow.
Like he should be fired. And like I said, when it went on Facebook, people were like sending him death threats and really bad things, and I'm like, whoa, guys.
Did he respond at
I
all?
don't support that. No, he shut down his social media completely
Yeah.
because of it. That's
Yeah.
what he said.
Well, maybe this is a learning lesson for him.
Yeah.
Is it?
Maybe it's a learning
Is
lesson
it? I
for
don't
him.
think it.
No, it's not.
It's not a learning lesson because he was forced to apologize to
And he
her.
got away with it and promoted.
And he got away with it, and he got promoted, and his beliefs and the feelings in his heart are still the same. You can't change that. He is someone who does not belong in the education system. We talk so often about police officers who don't belong at being police officers because maybe they have gone too far with different things.
Mhm.
But they don't talk about that when it comes to
Good
teachers.
point. Very good point.
As a teacher, you can do and say anything you want. They don't say, well, that's the bad apple. But that's exactly what this guy is. He does not belong. He's in the wrong profession.
I just needed one more descriptor. How old is he? Or if there's an idea, would you say he's
maybe
younger?
40.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
we can take him.
I think I can take him.
no,
Yeah, I could definitely take him.
no, it is interesting. The whole story now coming back out and coming full circle, at least getting a chance to talk about it because we guarantee. Have you ever witnessed anything like this before? Because I guarantee this stuff is happening.
No, I just hear about it, like
Yeah.
on the news and stuff. So
Yeah. Have your student friends come up and rallied around you, said, "Hey, let's go have a cocktail," or whatever?
no,
Nothing.
no, they just stood up for me when it came time to,
Okay. Yeah.
How does News Talk feel about this? Because I mean, technically they talked about you working there and that's why
Mhm.
they don't like you. I mean, did they respond in any way?
Yeah, like a year ago, I got to be on 2 shows there just to talk about it. And one of the shows, the host he was a teacher at Lindenwood, so
Oh.
yeah, he had some things to say about it. So,
And finally, Tabitha asked about your dad, your parents. How does that go? What were the thoughts, feelings there?
they stayed out of it. There was like,
Probably was not easy.
yeah, and I mean, what can they say? I can fight my own fights. So they just kind of,
Well, the only way you get results in life is you have to be persistent
Mhm.
and polite, whatever action you're trying to get done. And we'll see. We'll see where it goes. If it resonates with people.
If people wanted to call and say something about this at this time, would they just call the Lindenwood?
Good question.
Offices? Would they call a special department?
No, that's
Who would
the
they talk to?
media department, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think you would start with the dean or the chancellor
the
of the
dean.
school. And I don't even know who that is.
Yeah,
but
you did not deserve this.
That's how
it's
you
so
do
frustrating because you're one of the sweetest people. You did not deserve this.
And we appreciate you sharing our story. Anything final you want to say about it, or anything from that standpoint, or you all talked out?
Thanks for having me on to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm glad I could do this.
You don't want to go work at NPR either. Don't do it.
God,
Don't do it.
no, it's so boring.
Yeah, they might get closed down.
They are hiring.
It's state-run media. We've already talked about that. Leah Almstedt, and you graduate soon?
May 6th.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's coming up. Graduation, and then, of course, trying to work in the industry.
Yeah.
All right.
Busy.
All right. Leah Almstedt, we appreciate you jumping in with us today. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it happened. Like I said, I never had to deal with anything like that with a teacher say anything. But like I said, I saw somebody say something to another person and I was like, oh my Lord, what is going on?
Yeah. No, it's a
messed
shame,
up,
man. And it's I can see why you're never going to fight the battle against Berkeley, and you're not going to Stanford and Harvard for that matter. But Lindenwood, Lindenwood College,
Eric,
come on, man.
Eric, I'm telling you, it is everywhere. But the interesting thing with that is when kids do get a chance to talk about those issues is the fact that how much power do kids have to go and talk to principals, teachers, things like that, as we transition from a story in the St. Louis area yesterday and across the country, kids were allowed, I say kids were allowed to walk out of their schools in protest for gun control. This is high schools. So they were able to tell their teachers and working side by side with principals, we're going to walk out of class because we want gun rights. Okay. So does this not, and principals allowing them?
Meaning that they
kids
want
demanding, we want gun control.
They want more gun laws.
Yes.
More gun laws.
And kids dictating to principals and then media presenting it as this is a great thing. Principals and kids working together for a walkout, but it's for a political issue.
It shows how many fascists there are in schools these days.
And maybe everybody, Vic, you're just hardcore, blah, blah, blah. No, but think about this. What if kids went to the principal and said, hey, we want to walk out for abortion because we don't like that abortion is legal in such and
you know what?
What about we don't like other rules and laws that are happening? We're going to have walkouts and we're going to stage these across the country.
Yeah.
We're just letting you know. And then before you know it, then you have this group and that group, which is what I talk about, the slippery slope.
Yeah.
So now principals working with kids on a political issue, showing where they stand, and whether you like it or not, it becomes a Republican, Democrat issue very quickly. So it's a side story to Leah's from the standpoint of what are professors, what are teachers, what are faculty actually doing? Because while I agree with professors and kids working together, I could not believe that this is being allowed and promoted as something that's really, really positive.
What a bunch of dumb kids. I mean,
but they're not dumb.
No, they are dumb.
They're not dumb.
No, they are dumb.
Look at
because
how kids get. It's easy.
No, those
to
are dumb
manipulate
kids.
Okay.
I'll tell you what; those are dumb kids.
Okay.
It doesn't matter whether they've been manipulated or not. They're dumb kids, and they're going to grow up to be dumb adults. That's the problem with this country. And the issue we're facing here is that these kids, with all the school shootings we're seeing, what kids need to wake up to, if you want to protest something as a student, protest the fact if your school doesn't have a resource officer, if you don't have bulletproof glass on front of your store or on front of your school. I mean, you are a sitting duck sitting in a school if you don't have a resource officer. And then these kids are out leaving school and whatever you call it because they want more gun control. Those are stupid kids who grow up to be stupid adults, and that's why this country is in the shape that it is.
Yes, that was very good. But here, I think it's more this: these kids are feeling unsafe because of what they saw. they basically, I have to stand up and applaud them a little bit, because they took the initiative to go talk to their teacher, then on to their principal, and then on to make this assembly happen. They did a good job. They just walked out, they hung out, and they basically, said, we want some action taken to make sure that we're safe in this place.
Well,
That's okay.
Who put this in their
That's
heads?
okay.
Was it the parents? Was it the school? Maybe the teachers are in. We know schools.
That's my point.
We know schools are influencing kids
Okay.
to be
That's the problem.
against
It's the
guns.
poison. It's the poison
That's the right word.
that gets put in with the sweetness and
Correct.
the sugar.
Yes.
That's the problem here. And before you know it, they're being brainwashed into thinking and or acting on a certain issue. Now,
and they grow up to be voters.
And then if you don't go out there as another student, guess what happens?
Mm-hmm.
Peer pressure. You're a hater. How dare you?
Yeah.
What? You're for killing kids? That's the mentality that takes place. And you have uneducated teachers, uneducated superintendents and principals who either are just uneducated, silly, stupid, idiot, whatever you were saying, Tabitha, or they know what's happening and they're for it, and or they're just afraid of being canceled if they don't allow it.
Yeah.
Now, I would encourage, hey, if there's kids or parents, encourage your kids to go have walkouts on whatever issue you want. Then guess what? Nobody's going to be in class.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody gets it. That's the problem that the schools send when it comes to these issues, that we put preference on this issue as opposed to others.
Yeah.
But what Democrats will say is, well, this isn't a political issue. This is a safety issue. Okay, guess what? If it's a safety issue, then why don't we do what Eric was just talking about in Tabitha? Why don't we have a resource officer here? Why don't we have bulletproof glass? Because guess what? Now, then that takes you into the Second Amendment. So yes, they are politically tied, whether they try to say it is or not.
And you're right. And so apparently a Parkway Central would never do the resource officer. They would never invest in the bulletproof glass. They would never have the metal detectors because of what just happened in their voting the other day. However, Wentzville would.
Rockwood does have a resource.
Fantastic.
Rockwood has a resource.
They
officer.
had they had walkouts at Wentzville too, though, Eric.
I know, and it was a national thing, and everybody wants to be part of the party, no doubt about it. But the thing about it is to address the local fears of these kids, where they would have to shut up.
They're not kids.
Is that they would basically have to have the superintendent come out and say, "We heard you, and we would like to introduce Janet as our new armed patrol officer here on campus. You guys spoke, we listened, congratulations." And it would shut them down, because they would go, the whole point of the protest was to feel safe, correct? Right?
I would assume so, but,
Okay,
Eric,
so
these aren't
so then
kids.
you have to go.
It wasn't about feeling safe. It was about getting action.
Okay, well, what's the
Taking
action?
Then they
against the guns.
interviewed kids. We want gun control. And that's all they say.
Well, we can't control people.
Because they don't, exactly, but the kids don't understand. It sounds sweet and nice, and we're going to go outside and either we're behind this or we're not, but they don't understand it's a complex issue.
But the schools don't consider them to be kids. They consider them to be future voters. And so what they do is they brainwash these kids in these schools to control their vote at a later time. So all of this is about getting this in these kids' head, Vic, just like you called it a poison, getting that poison into these kids' minds. As they grow up, they become voters. And guess what they do? They vote for Democrat policies. And that's what all these kids in schools are being groomed to do, is to become future Democrat voters.
I love this comment from the Facebook user. Unfortunately, he says, yes, they're stupid. What they should be upset about is the fact that their schools refuse to provide armed security, as Tabitha said. Their schools refuse to allow teachers to carry if they want after receiving proper training. The students are mad at the wrong people. That's where I agree, the wrong people. Those with the most power to protect the student body refuse to do so. One armed officer isn't enough for these large schools. And then I'll take it a step further. If you really want to get serious about it, and if you want to debate us, let's debate. We give trillions of dollars to Ukraine and have Ukraine protecting Ukrainian kids.
Right. Not our own.
But nothing here in the United States.
Nothing in the United States.
And and a lot of people, I'm not a big fan of Illinois. I can't stand Governor Pritzker. But I'll tell you what, I went to grade school, junior high, and 2 years of high school in Illinois.
Mhm.
And at all of my schools that I went to in Illinois, we had armed guards. Junior high, we had 2 armed guards. High school, 2 armed guards. And we had metal detectors
Yeah.
in high school. And I am telling you, it's unfortunate that you have to do these things. But if you have to protect your kids, you have to do what you have to do. And it's ridiculous to me that Democrats want to get rid of resource officers.
Well, it's like
It's
this.
crazy.
It's schools and any kind of government institution. If you go to court right now, St. Charles County, you have to go through metal detectors and through about 13 marshals to get to the courtroom that you're supposed to go to. If you want to get on a plane, you have to go through about 40 TSA people who are less than competent, but at least they got a metal detector there. If you want to go to a school to learn algebra and trigonometry, what's the difference? How you doing, Joe? Good to see you, Janet. Your cheerleading outfit looks amazing. Go get him today, kiddo, as he's packing a 9mm, making sure that she is safe while she is learning home economics or whatever she's learning. That is not that controversial.
They don't even teach that stuff anymore. Think about that. That's
okay.
That's how deprived
Algebra.
our schools are these days. They don't want you. They don't want you to know how to balance your checkbook or to know how to.
Well,
work your
AI
credit
is going to
score,
do it for me in the next
or
2 months. I'll
how
tell you
to
that.
Cook or so they took all those classes out of schools.
Sometimes you just got to let it breathe. Beck.
We're learning woke.
Sometimes you just got to let Tabitha sit
You know
there.
what? You're right. And sometimes you have to laugh instead of cry, or laugh instead of bitch.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
I am convinced that I'm living in a different portal from you guys. I am not on the same. I am convinced that I am in a room right now staring straight ahead in a daydream, and you guys are trying to wake me up because none of this stuff seems real.
But we don't agree with it all, what's going on.
Yeah.
But Eric, in the midst of all the darkness, there is light. Scotty, when you get a chance, there is light. It's just the light has to be given an opportunity to shine. Case in point, we don't always get the full story. That's been my whole, even working local news, that would frustrate the hell out of me. Vic, pick your battles. Vic, well, you have to do this. Vic, blah, blah, blah. Just tell the full story. Tell every side. And as Eric says, if you are omitting information, you are lying. Well, transgender issues have become very big over the last couple of weeks and the last month. And Eric, I was so glad that you jumped in to talk about these issues today.
Yeah.
You sent us the story of what is called a D-trans. If you don't know what a D-trans is, as Eric told you earlier, somebody who went back after having transgender surgery to go back to how God made him in the first place. Oil London or Ollie London, he is blaming TikTok. Now, this is a couple of minutes, but you get an idea when you listen to how kids, and it all gets associated into what we were just talking about, can get manipulated by peers, get manipulated by social media, get manipulated by the media. Here is this guy talking, this social media influencer, a D-trans activist, on how TikTok made him feel like he had to have surgery and change what he was originally as a human.
When you're on TikTok, you now see thousands and thousands of transgender, non-binary influencers getting millions of followers, getting millions of views, because it really has become a trend. But this is not just any trend. It's not a trend when you become a goth for the day or you start a dance trend. This is a trend that destroys lives. It destroys families. It destroys the lives of children. It teaches children that the only way to feel happy and to accept themselves is to mutilate their bodies through surgery, through taking very harmful hormones. We have to look at the correlation as well between when TikTok came about, 2018. Suddenly, that was when we really started to experience the rise in medical transitions of kids. It was rising before that, but we saw a sharp, significant rise since the advent of TikTok back in 2018. So we really need to look at the harms of this, and we really need to come up with a better solution in order to keep kids protected online. TikTok works with an AI algorithm, so they check what you're interested in and they push and feed you videos related to your interests. So, if you're a kid that maybe stumbles across a video that's about gender ideology and you watch the whole video for 15 seconds, TikTok will remember that and just keep showing you the same kind of content. So that was what happened with me. I saw a lot of gender identity videos. people just expressing themselves. I was like, you know what, maybe I can change my identity. Maybe I can transition. And that was really when I transitioned during the height of my TikTok addiction. Every time it was just nothing but praise from all these people that have pronouns in their bios, praising me, saying this is amazing, you're incredible, we finally support you. When previously, you know, months earlier, they were attacking me and sending me hate. So, you know, that's the experience I had. So the more I shared my transition story, the more views it got. And that's what's happening with everyone. When you see someone that shares their transition journey on TikTok, for instance, it might be a boy, they might start doing a little bit of lipstick, their views will go up. They might do hair extensions or a wig. Suddenly their views go up more. They put on the dress more and more and more. So it's this constant addiction to trying to get more validation and more love, which is what's happening to so many people. And, you know, I too fell for that. I was really, really addicted to TikTok. And the real issue is that when you see TikTok promoting these videos, you know, these top surgeries, double mastectomies, you have thousands upon thousands of videos of young teens doing a day by day of their transition, day by day on hormones. You have videos of people injecting testosterone, showing kids how to inject testosterone. You've got trans activists telling kids how to get access to hormones in states where it's illegal. So there are actual people trying to get these kids hormones without a doctor's prescription, without parental consent, illegally, which is just insane. And this goes unchecked. In fact, it's actually amplified. These videos often get hundreds of thousands of views, if not millions. So it's really become a problem. So, you know, TikTok seriously needs to address this.
So true. And if that doesn't show you what's going on, I don't know what does. So the key is, guess what? You'll hear people, oh, this is so great. I want to be transgender. I want to change my body. It's where I'm going to be happy. Okay, fine. But then you also need to hear the other side. Yeah, I did all this. And it was fleeting glory. It was nothing what I thought. I was more miserable once I did it.
It sucks. It sucks so bad because they're conflating two things.
Sorry about that. I'm not sure what that was.
It was awesome, whatever it was. They're conflating two things. Legitimate people who are homosexual. Let's start there because I don't understand the LGBTQ stuff. They're homosexual. They like the same gender.
But not all trans people are gay.
All right, hold on. Conflating two things. I'm an adult. I'm a homosexual. I just got married to my high school sweetheart. He's a gentleman. I'm a gentleman. Boom. They're having a great life. They're not hurting anybody. It's not because of TikTok. It's just because this is how I was born. And boom. Now we'll take it up a level. I am a man trapped in a woman's body. I'm 28 years old and I want to go through the process. I do it properly. You have this third thing, and it's programming, and it's a child, right? I'm a 12-year-old, just like this kid said, and I am so into this. I'm depressed as a child. I don't feel like I fit in anywhere, but I see these TikToks, and all of a sudden, like this kid says, I put on a little eyeliner. I now have 100,000 people worldwide saying, you look beautiful. All of a sudden, I fit in. I'm not gay. I don't even know sexuality yet. I'm 12 years old. I'm not gay, but this eyeliner has brought me international fame, fortune, celebrity. I now do what he said. I got the lip filler. I now do what he says. I put the wig on and I look fantastic. I now am in that community space. How do you amp it up after you've done the testosterone and the dresses and the wigs? You go through the process at 14 years old, maybe, right?
Very few people, Eric. Very few people. This is far less than 1% of the entire
I understand.
population.
I don't even need the numbers.
Why it's on the news, why everybody talks about it so much, I don't even know.
It's not even about the numbers.
It's not about
it could be one person
that I could literally implode from inside.
Right, but this is the story. This is the story.
It shouldn't even be a story.
When I was in 1985, I saw one of my favorite rockers. He had long hair. I was like, well, I got to grow my damn hair out long, big. And I was
Was he wearing eyeliner?
Most 80s rockers are trans.
And then all of a sudden,
that's the 1%.
You've just lost all credibility if you could turn her mic off. So I was this kid, and you have to look at it from your own perspective when you were 13, 14 years old. I was a kid. There was posters all over my room of long-haired rock stars. I felt like I played football. I felt like I was an athlete, but I was really into this rock star lifestyle. Boom. My dad's going crazy. My mom's going crazy. I have long hair all of a sudden, and they're going, what are you doing? I go, well, I like this lifestyle. Get in a band. More adulation. I start looking online, and some of my favorite rock stars have an earring now. Oh, hell. Well, I have to have an earring. Boom. Chesterfield Mall. Bam. I have a post in my ear on a Thursday afternoon. I am now in the game. Long-haired earring, and I play guitar.
Now Steven Tyler's
all of a
grandma.
sudden, now I'm in Shooting Star. I'm on tour. And I saw Rachel Bolan from Skid Row had a chain from his ear to his nose. I did the same thing.
You did that?
I sure did.
Oh, I want the picture.
I sure did.
God.
A chain from my ear to my nose.
I can't wait to see where this unfolds.
It wasn't trans.
Where did you stop? Did you go all the way to becoming a woman?
All of a sudden,
Or did you stop?
guys don't.
He had one between his nipples too.
Yeah. All of a sudden, guys don't usually wear damn spandex. And
well,
think that they're man.
Up.
I was wearing spandex
And
and
you
tight
still
pants
are.
and wearing tight pants. So
He really liked that
the
movement.
point of my story.
Can you skip ahead to where things change?
I don't mean to bore Tabitha or anything like that.
No, I want to hear
it's
the
just
most
an
important
allegorical.
part.
It's an allergy.
When
it's an
did
analogy.
you wake up and stop
Hold
dressing
on.
like
it's
women?
an analogy because I'm about to tell you. Let me get to my damn. Let me talk. So I'm in this race to become as relevant as the guys that are in the magazines and doing the MTV thing. All of a sudden, one day, I quit the tour. I didn't want to do that anymore
because you were not a gay man.
I was not a gay man. I was not transsexual. It was the
rest of the 80s.
It was the
are.
fashion. No, don't
let
listen.
him finish.
Please don't listen to her. Please.
Tabitha, let him
For the love
finish.
of God, I'm like.
I know it's a long story, but let him finish.
There was a day that I moved. that I moved to Seattle, Washington. I was like, I'm done with this. The earring came out, the nose ring came out. I had cut my hair, and I started an ad agency, and I moved on to a different thing that attracted me. These kids are in a very impressionable part of their life at 12 years old. They're seeing things at a level that if I would have seen that stuff, I can't even imagine where I would be right now. But they're being inundated, and they're not just being inundated, they're participating in it. It is so I cannot imagine what it's like to have a 12-year-old on this planet right now that you are not like completely in control of their multimedia anymore.
It's not happening, Eric. Don't fall for the propaganda.
On this issue, I can't hear.
The media wants you to think it's normal. It's not normal. It's not happening. It's less than 1% of the population.
So what?
But the media wants to portray it as it's so common. There's so many trans kids out there. There's so many kids at these gender centers doing all this trans stuff that it makes more kids do it. We have to stop normalizing.
You're not hearing the story.
You're right, Tabitha. But guess what, Tabitha? It's increasing.
It's increasing because we all keep talking about it.
You don't understand what you just said.
Like TikTok. That's the point.
That's exactly the point.
That's why we had Ollie.
I completely agree.
You don't understand what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter if you think it's 1%. The deal that it's on TikTok and it's programming a child's mind will make it not 1% anymore. It will be a thing. It will be a thing in this country. There's a lot of kids out there that don't care if they're a man or a woman or a boy or a girl. They want to be popular.
Oh, there it is. There it is right there. Thank you, Bendy. Bendy says the WashU Gender Clinic, when all the information just had hundreds of kids. And that's just at one clinic in St. Louis. And we showed you the map of what appeared to be thousands of clinics across the country.
And just like Bendy said, mass hysteria. And that's exactly what it is.
And that is the true villain in all of this, is a doctor who went through 10 years of school that can't look at a kid and go, kid, here's the number of a nice psychologist and a good support group. Get out of my office until you're of age.
Well, yeah, but
and that to me is where the evil
make
comes.
Money and do whatever they can. It starts with the parents, as we talked about last week.
Well, I understand the parents. The parents are emotional too when their kid comes up to them.
They're emotional. They are.
And I feel sorry for the parents myself.
Yes, 100%.
But if my kid came up to me and said, "Dad, I have to try heroin because all my other friends are doing," I'd go, "You're nuts, and we got to get you help." I'm sorry. Because you're not going to try heroin just because your friends are doing it or because you feel like you want to try drugs. I'm sorry, you're just not, and that's good parenting, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Or am I so out of the game that I'm just an idiot? I mean, I know I'm an idiot.
It's good.
You're not an idiot. It's just that we as a country, this isn't happening in most other countries.
Nope.
It's happening in Europe. It's happening in NATO countries, which is, I'm not even going to get started with BRICS versus
not
NATO.
China, not Russia.
Not China, definitely not Russia. These countries that we're in this big war with, this is exactly what they're fighting against, and people don't get it. They're fighting against Western culture because our government, it comes straight from our government. They're creating these programs. They know exactly what's going on TikTok. This is all a brainwashing One of these days we'll find out it was Operation something or another to try to neutralize all of us. They want us all to be androgynous and not be men, not be women. And the media plays into it. Everyone does. It's less than 1% of the population. It's growing so quickly because everyone keeps talking about, just like Bindi said, mass.
I know we're
but
talking.
Tabitha, you can't just not.
I'm not saying we can't talk about it.
It's out there.
I agree.
So you have to do the anti-talk.
I agree.
And you're not going to stop those who are wanting to talk about it. So you have to meet them where they are to make sure that there is proper education, which is what Cancel the Show is all about.
And exactly what you and Eric are both saying, exactly what this guy in the video we just watched. It's all propaganda.
There are certain things in this world that the government has done a good job saying, not until you're 18. Not until you're 21. The government, in my opinion, has done a good job up to this point saying no drinking till you're 21. I'm sorry. No doing this until you're 18. You want to drive a car? It's a privilege. I'm sure you can handle it at the age of 16.
Those aren't political issues.
Not at all.
It's because it's a political issue. It's all in regards to why it is what it is. And then if you disagree, you're a hater. You're a hater. Yeah. And then that's where the mass media messaging goes out. And then you go after young kids whose minds are still developing and don't understand. And then they'll attack other kids. My daughter experienced this with friends. There were like 11 or 12 in the friend group. And the last election was going on in 2020. And how dare you say, well, why don't we listen? And there are political discussions in class, which then gets taken to lunch, which then gets taken to their parties and social. How dare 3 of you in our friend group of 12, it was 12, say that, well, we should hear and give Donald Trump a chance. Guess what? The friend group exploded. 9 liberals. How dare you? There's no way. We can't listen to Donald Trump. That's how it works. Yeah. And the media and the messaging goes into the kids, which is where we are and why you have to educate kids on what's actually happening and why you're deciding what you're deciding.
I'm telling you, I feel like I'm like, when I call myself not a Republican, not a Democrat, I feel like I'm a libertarian just because the word liberty is in that word. I don't even know what the word means, but I'm not political by I have to go get my Republican card out or whatever it is. I'm libertarian because I think that in the world you should be able to live your life as you see fit until you die. But I will be very hardcore to the fact that the human brain from 0 to 21 does not fully develop. And it is our job as society to protect these kids.
Well, then you better start a civil war and get rid of the Biden regime. Because if you want to protect kids, you're fighting on the wrong side. We have to get rid of the Biden regime. We have to get rid of the Democrat regime because, Eric, we're fighting a losing battle against these people.
But when you say the Democrat regime, what do you mean by that? That's a very wide open statement.
I've explained this many times before, and I will explain it again. The Democrat regime, just like if you were don't think of us as the United States. We give ourselves strange credit that we don't deserve. Yeah. Think of us as another country. And another country
and
that would be
new. That's
think
a
of it
new
like
thing.
Brazil. They have a regime that has been in control. Think of Syria.
And that's a new thing as well.
That's been in control. Here in the United States, we have a regime that's been in control for probably since JFK.
The only difference with
the Democrat regime.
The only difference with that is we have an opportunity.
The Democrat Party is not going anywhere, Tabitha. There's nothing.
I'm not talking about getting rid of the Democrat Party.
I'm sure
that would
that's
be nice.
what Madonna was saying about the Republicans 4 years ago too. So it doesn't go. But I think of the Donna.
You're not going to get Democrats out of office.
Donna on the chat line says this: they need to seriously talk more about the bad things that transitioning brings, and I agree 100% with that.
Which is what we were doing right here.
Yeah, and I think, well, I would like to even drill down more into specifics, like get a human psychologist on this show. I would love to find out what the emotional, what the physical breakdown of a little boy is that puts that much estrogen in their body to become a woman.
Yeah,
I would love to know that, by the way.
It is 100% mental illness. And it depends on and if you're not going to get every psychologist to say exactly what you want, but I promise you, there are psychologists who will tell you that it is 100% mental illness.
Well, when you guys do all that, that will be the day I take my vacation day. I am so tired of talking about trans issues. You have
Tough. You live in that world.
idea.
That's the world you live in.
But here's the thing: the trans issue has only been the last month.
I know, and it's just overwhelming. It's everywhere. It's overwhelming, and
it's what reality is.
It is reality.
The St.
And
Louis
it's becoming-
Blues.
and
The
it's
St.
becoming
Louis
more
Blues.
of a reality.
The St. Louis Blues just changed their logo to a rainbow.
No, they did it for one day.
Okay, fine.
To promote pride.
But I'm just what I'm saying. You
Well,
don't
there's a
have a
difference.
choice not to talk about it.
Well, actually, you do.
Yeah, but at the same point in time, Eric, the flip side of the story was the Blues became the 7th team to the players refused to wear pride jerseys.
Yeah, they're definitely fitting a square peg through a round hole.
But if you're going to talk about it, this is all such a complex issue because there are gay people, there are trans people, there are cross dressers.
Then you have
Not
more-
all trans
yeah.
people are gay. You have drag queens who are a lot of times heterosexual.
Yes.
I mean, the tiniest portion of these people are pedophiles. I mean, it's such a convoluted subject and it's such a complex subject, and it's really hard to talk about it without clarifying all of these different things.
And here's the deal. This is why I don't care to talk. I mean, I don't care not to talk about it because I'll tell you what,
thing, you have to allow it all.
It's a big enough deal.
Go there.
It's a big enough deal for Kid Rock to bring out an AR-15 and blow up some bottles. It's a big enough deal for to talk about if our military is being too woke and it's being too.
Well, that was more about the virtual
big,
signing of Budweiser.
It's big enough that we're having trans shows at Elmendorf Air Force Base up in Alaska. It's big. It is something to talk about.
But Pride Day is different than talking about transgender issues and gender studies. And
I don't think anybody
cares. There's a big difference between supporting gay rights versus being against kids being brainwashed into being trans. And there should be experts out there telling kids, you know what, the majority of kids who go through these things do have mental health issues. A majority of these kids who go through, who have these gender reassignment surgeries, I'm talking about as kids taking puberty blockers.
I can talk out of both sides of my mouth right now.
There's a high rate of suicide.
I can talk out of both sides of my mouth right now, and I know the show's is coming to an end, but here's the deal. I have a friend of mine who is going through exactly what we're talking about right now, and about a week ago, I said, I'm so proud of you. I can't believe you're doing this. I'm so proud of you. You look amazing.
What did that person?
You're doing a great job, and I applaud you.
What did God make that person?
God made that person depressed.
No, God doesn't.
He's a man. He's transitioning to a woman.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's been depressed. He's been emotional. He's been suicidal. He has tried everything I can tell to be a citizen that's very productive. And he was like, "Screw it. There's something about me that I just don't feel is natural. I'm going to go and be a woman." And I go, "Excuse me?"
Did TikTok do that? Was he watching a bunch of TikTok?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And he did it. She did it. And I couldn't be more proud that he's not a kid. He's not going to Belle Reve Elementary School in the Parkway Parkway School District.
My niece is doing the same thing. She's going through the transition. She's been taking puberty blockers.
And you applaud her,
for
right?
a long time. I think people have to live the life they do, but she's like 15 or 16 years old.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
It's different when you're a child versus when you're an adult. That's a very big
That's a problem.
difference.
What do mom and dad say?
My brother's, he passed away a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And
so dad's mom
and her mom, I don't know what her mom says. I haven't talked to her mom.
And females that find themselves being attracted to other females as 14-year-olds, hey, that's nature. I'm sorry, you can't do anything about it. I'm sorry, if you're a parent, that's one thing that you might have to deal with. That you might have a child that is gay. And that's cool too. And that's cool too.
People have to support their children, of course.
Absolutely.
And I don't even want to. There's just so, like I said, it's such a complex thing.
It is complex, and that's why we should talk about it on this show.
Media doesn't get into the complex issues.
Yeah.
They don't get into the complex issues.
And that's why we have
the deep dive
issues.
And you have to get into the more complex issues.
We don't want to see children damaged. Is
but
basically
guess what,
we're
Eric?
saying.
Think about this. And I don't think we can stop the train that this country is on unless we end up with this NATO versus BRICS war. We are not going to be able to stop the train that this is on. You know where that train stop ends? At some point, we're not in our lifetimes, but probably in our children's lifetime, there will be a time when people like us, we are the less than 1%. Everyone else is going to be all a combination of all sorts of things. Us, we're going to be the rarity.
No, because here's the
where
deal.
the train
Here's
goes.
the deal. Because, and we'll leave it at this, Vic, Sigmund Freud was right. There's this thing called the libido, and it's as scientific as anything else. It is literally a mechanism where a male becomes horny, for lack of a better word, to go and be with a woman.
They can brainwash that out of you as a small child.
Hold on.
Don't even
That
go
is
there.
impossible.
Yes, no, it's not.
It's impossible.
No,
That's
it's not.
exactly what's happening. Why do you think there's hundreds
It's impossible.
of kids
It's not.
at the
It's
gender
too-
studies place?
You're going after universal law to basically say a man doesn't want to get with a woman, which will repopulate the earth, which is why the earth keeps getting repopulated, is universal law. So there's never going to be a 1%.
You're so wrong. We can grow babies in a test tube, and we're going to have probably more technology on that someday. We don't need men and women to be together to have babies. You can get
So men are going to look at other men and go, I have to have that.
Yes, it's already happening.
Why?
And some people are born that way naturally,
Yeah.
but our
But
government
Tabitha,
is
that's-
trying to implement and brainwash children.
But Tabitha, that's
No.
that tiny little percentage that you were just talking
It
about.
won't be
it's a tiny
someday.
little percentage.
Yes,
it won't
it's a
be
tiny
someday.
little percentage.
Keep drinking that milk with the hormones and antibiotics.
Just remember this: grunge music didn't last forever. Bon Jovi is now not very popular. Think about it. Not everything
So
lasts forever.
you think it's a dying trend?
I think it's an ebb
And it
and
is
a
a
flow.
trend.
It's an ebb and a flow, and it will flow back the other way. As a matter of fact, we're seeing it with politicians becoming Democrats to Republicans. We're seeing
And
it. We're
look
seeing
at
it all
what-
over the place.
Look at what Bindi said, and she's absolutely correct. The destruction of the family.
Yeah, but it's also about encouraging mental illness is not helping people, and
Yeah.
that's about encouraging
Yeah.
people in unnatural ways,
Yeah.
whatever you think unnatural
Yeah.
is.
Tabitha, I love you, but you are one of the most negative people I've
I'm not
ever met in
negative
my
at
life.
all.
And that's
If-
okay.
If you were
and
alive,
I'm not. That's not a slam.
if you were
Please
alive
don't
in
think I'm slamming Tabitha, but she is.
if you were alive in 100 years,
Yes.
you would say, Tabitha, you were right. I see
would
it
not-
all
you would not
playing
s-
out in front of me.
You would not.
People are having
No.
test tube babies and sperm donations and egg donations, and there's no people
The
procreating
natural
anymore.
mechanism
Yes,
for
there-
a kids to be
Tabitha,
born.
yes, there are.
I'm not talking about now. I
You're
said 100
not.
years.
There's
from
not
now.
going to be a quick trip of
How
babies.
many times have you? And first of all, I'm not negative. And second of all,
God is bigger than all of it. I
I
agree
mean-
with you,
Exactly.
Lizzie.
I am
The
a
natural order of the universe is
realist.
bigger than any BLM
Well,
rally.
I'm gonna-
Trust me.
I'm
If
gonna
you're a
tell you
Christian,
what.
you know, there is a plan.
There is certainly a plan. There's also a plan for the world to
Yeah.
end someday.
What you're seeing is an
But
ebb
there's
and a
also
flow.
I hate to say this, the only thing that might save us, seriously,
Oh boy.
is getting in this war with Russia, NATO versus BRICS, because NATO needs to be
Okay.
destroyed.
Can I say
Not us and our
something about
country.
BRICS?
NATO needs to
All
be
right, I know the
destroyed.
show's coming.
That's
in,
where
Vic.
all this starts.
I get the show's coming to it, but I saw this thing on Fox today. Stuart Varney basically said, "You know what?"
No, it's Bonnie.
He said basically this BRICS thing is a joke. I was intent. I woke my
It
ass
is
up.
not a joke.
I woke my ass up and I said, "Is this real?" And Stuart Varney, who has been a alarmist his whole career,
He has.
basically said,
I didn't hear him say it.
basically BRICS is a joke. It's
I
not.
wanna hear
Don't worry
why
about
he said
BRICS.
that.
Is not
He
a
said,
joke.
"Here's what he said. Here's what he said. He said the dumbing down of the dollar, on the other hand, that's serious. But the
Yes.
BRICS thing,
BRICS is
Not a
not a
joke.
joke
It's a
because
joke.
at some point,
you know what BRICS is?
No, I found what he said.
can I just say something,
Go ahead.
please,
Go
without
ahead.
everyone talking at the same time as me?
And I'm not blaming you for. I'm not blaming you for being scared of BRICS. And I
I'm not
was
scared
You've
of
too.
been
BRICS.
advised to.
I'm
This is
not.
not time for you to.
I'm not scared of BRICS, Eric. I'm getting to the point where I actually feel that we know Donald Trump wanted to withdraw from NATO. He wanted to withdraw from the UN. These two organizations are killing our country. I don't want to be under Russian control or China control. I don't want our children to fight in a war, but we need someone to save us. And if it has to be BRICS, then so be it, because our country is being completely destroyed by the people who run
Yeah,
it.
but it's 4-year cycles. You don't know what's going to happen in the next 2
4-year
years.
cycles when
You
they
don't know
can
what's gonna happen in
cheat
2
and
years.
control the elections.
You're very paranoid right now because what
I'm not
Biden is doing to
paranoid.
this
I'm not
country.
paranoid.
There was about
I'm a realist.
3 years
A
ago.
realist.
Remember this, realist. 3
The
years.
person who doesn't read the news at all is trying
Right.
to tell me that I don't know what
Right,
I'm
and
talking
I didn't
about.
say I was smart, but I'm just saying this.
You are smart.
Remember this: 3 years ago, the pipeline, the XL pipeline, was being built across America.
And then
We
Biden
were
shut it
entered-
down.
Okay, that's why I'm saying we go in 4-year increments. That's what I'm
No,
saying.
because then Trump ran again
Yeah.
in 2016 and obviously lost to Biden because they cheated. It was a coup. And you know what? In 2024, they will stage another coup.
All I'm saying
never get to talk because Tabitha won't shut up.
All I'm saying is this.
My
and
God.
I thought I was.
And you say that I never say anything. I can't even get a word in.
Here's the
Well,
deal.
I mean,
Hey,
Eric.
Vic, tell her
Not
this.
you
Tell her
guys.
this. I'll talk through you to get to her. Here's the deal. I thought I was
now, children.
I thought
one cries, we all cry.
Exactly. I thought I was bringing her good, positive news that a hawkish financial guy was saying this BRICS thing
He's
is a
wrong.
joke.
We'll get into that. We don't have enough time today. We need to do more research. I need to even know. I don't even know about it. I'm not prepared.
It's basically Russia having the ability to buy oil because they are sanctioned
Russia
right now.
have you lost your freaking mind?
And now Saudi Arabia has come on
What were
board.
we just talking about
And Saudi
yesterday?
Arabia has come on board and saying,
Russia has the oil. Everybody's buying the oil from them. They don't need to buy any oil. They have the oil already.
yeah, there is something that concerns me about the Japan deal. They're buying the Russian oil right now.
Everybody
That's a little
is
concerning.
because we're not drilling.
Above price.
That's a little concerning.
And
But you know what?
with
We'll get into that
America's
later.
blessing.
Eric.
Yeah. Can you tell her to have a nice day?
We need to cancel this debate up at Wendy's.
I'm afraid to say anything right now.
Yeah, just tell Tabitha to take a nice swig of hot toddy and go to bed. She'll be all right.
Hey, it's a little bit of what we do, but that's awesome. We do have much love for everybody.
Yes, and I love Eric despite the fact that he's always wrong.
I didn't
He's
say I
still
wasn't. I'm
in my top 5 of favorite
Eric,
people on the planet.
Eric, top 5 of favorite wrong people.
Eric,
Yes.
don't worry. I've already been told I'm always wrong too.
It's all right. Women tell guys
Well,
we're
you're-
always.
I was just going to say, women get that to us all the time.
it's-
Like, that
it's
doesn't
nothing
hurt,
new.
Tabitha.
Well, it's funny. A listener messaged me the other day, and they were talking about all of our roles. They're
Mhm.
like, Scotty's the rocker,
Mhm.
and the
Eric's the
smoker, the
rocker.
toker. And
The
they said
smoker,
Eric's the
toker.
liberal, Vic is
I'm
the
the liberal?
establishment,
Oh,
and I'm the only patriot here.
oh,
They
Damn.
called me the smoker and the toker?
yeah, I know. That's what I said.
That's so odd.
Hey, Patriot, fix your flag then because it's all jacked up.
Hey, shut up, liberal. You're not welcome here.
All right, stoner.
Hey, it was Tabitha's mom. So just
Okay, I love Tabitha's mom. I'm not liberal, Miss.
It was not my mom.
Oh.
She loves all of you guys equally.
Yes, I-
She actually tells me that I need to calm down sometimes.
You know that's right.
Get- little dig.
I know, man.
she needs to hang out more with the toker smoker. We do appreciate you guys joining us. Thanks again. Cancelthisshow.com. We're serious. We have fun. And a talking stick as a suggestion that would never work here. The talking stick would get thrown.
What? Oh God, no. This place would get destroyed.
I hold the conch.
A talking bowling ball.
I don't even know what a talking stick is.
I'm all for the Nerf dart gun.
I think that'd be great.
We need our buzzers back.
No, we need water guns for sure. No doubt.
Yeah, well,
I
okay.
dare us.
won't.
No, I wouldn't do it. I did. Yes, I would.
It's like when you
Shock
spray the
collars.
cat to get out the counter.
I can't take it.
God.
Is this Friday or Thursday?
I think it's Thursday.
Somebody almost
I
said
know,
Wednesday.
I thought it was for a second.
Speaking of Friday, tomorrow, what do we have for tomorrow?
Well, here's the deal.
I know it's not.
I am so pissed off at Alex, our marketing guy. He's creative. AI was supposed to be last week, but the Trump stuff happened. So he suggested we move it to this Friday.
Yes.
So I get a text early today. Alex is like, and he's a big part of our AI show. I can't do AI tomorrow. And I'm like,
We're going to
right
be
as
dead
I'm
by the time he
starting-
comes
Can
on.
he create an AI thing to just say what he was going to say?
Yes.
I agree.
Alex.
I still want to do AI tomorrow.
Me too.
I'm ready for it.
Just Alex.
We're going to need him, though. He's pretty sharp on it. He's got some.
I
real-
Right
know
there.
he is.
Alex, take your cell phone.
So stay tuned. We'll let you guys know what we got going on tomorrow.
Come on, Alex.
Take your cell phone, go in the bathroom, and record everything you know about AI. I don't know why bathroom.
In the
but
bathroom?
I was going to
whatever-
say, turn the sound off.
whatever room you want to go to. I didn't mean that.
What
but
is going on in your head?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us for Cancel This.
It's where men get work done, Tabitha. You wouldn't know anything about it.
Scotty, Eric, Tabitha, and Vic. We'll see you next time for CancelThisShow.com. Please like, share, subscribe.
Oh.